Hello there. Alright guys, good morning. It's me, Spartan John. Let me get us all fired up here. Give me 1 second. I'm just telling the AI that I'm here so that it can, there it goes. So it can change, because, you know, it's time for me to start up and do all the things. We're 6 minutes into the awesome. Welcome. If it's your first time coming, I'm Spartan John. This is Thursday. It's our reading day. It's Thursday, and because we're reading today and all of the things, you get to watch me. Thursdays is like Mr. Rogers in here. I come in and change my hat. Also, more different Mariners hat again today, by the way, for any of you that are paying attention. We have, I think we got 30 Mariners hats or something that we have to get through this year, or this season. We've got so many different hats that we try to wear them all. Anyway, today's Glasslands. We're reading, as we usually do on Thursdays. You know, we put on the great jacket and clean up our mess some back here and get ready to go. I'm glad you guys all came by to be part of the awesome today. And MC, a respectable hat. Yeah, well, always. I changed it to my Master Chief helmet so I can always wear the helmet. Cool stuff. I got the Vault Yokai showed up. I got a couple of those. We'll I'll show it to you guys later at some point. You know, just a little bit of the house cleaning things I want to take care of, you know, in the first 15 minutes where we're sitting here. Hey! while everybody loads up and starts coming by and getting ready for the stuff here, the reading this morning. Sashi, again, it's good to see you. We got the new, so on Thursdays now, we were branded the Book Daddy by our community. So Lena made the Book Daddy cup with the pineapple grenades, and then on the other side is the Spartan helmet with the sandwich. I don't know if you've seen the sandwich, Sashi, but kind of like that. Halo Collector, good morning. How's the sound this morning? Everything sound good? I believe we solved the microphone auto adjustment problems, so hopefully that'll be easily enough now taken care of. It's all good stuff. I'm excited. We made some good changes around here. Couple more housekeeping things before we get started. We are at 1,038 follows on Twitch, 43 subs. Our goal is 80. And that's thanks, perfect. That's our goal is 80. I may change it to 100 actually, because I want to continue to keep it at 10% of the community, if we can. That's a pretty sizable thing. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go subs goal amount. There we go. Okay, we've got a new goal to get back to 50, and then it'll just continue to increase. But our big stretch goal is, I think, 100. I think 10% of our group or our followship is a good number to have in subscriptions, if we can manage it. Don't forget, if you have an Amazon Prime sub, it's free for you to sub to someone. If you're not already subbing, you could sub to me. I would be grateful. Again, 1,038 follows. Thank you, every single one of you, for being awesome with us. I can't do it without you. You guys are the best, like 100%. Awesome because of you. I mean, I have my own little bit of awesome, but it basically, without you guys, the awesome would be less awesome. I feel like, you know, I think it's a I think it's like that. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to tell you how many subs I have on YouTube. That was the other thing I wanted to do before we got started. I'm just looking up the analytics. 131 subscriptions on YouTube now. So thank you again for that as well, you guys. You guys are amazing. Also wanted you guys to know that I crossed over 500 hours of watch time on YouTube. So you guys out there who are investing in the awesome on YouTube have consumed 500 hours of content that I have made. Thanks, Andy. The fact that there is 500 hours of time consumed in the content that I've made is mind-boggling to me. I am grateful. This is, again, all good stuff. I can't be happier about it. It's probably the coolest thing ever. I get to turn my lamp on. Hey, look at that! Now you can see me better. Anyway, yeah, it's fucking crazy town. Just crazy. I'm so grateful. Emerald City. I will be there on Saturday only. You will find me. We're trying to. Apparently, our group event is on Friday instead of Saturday. I hear a bit of static or fan, very little, but a lot more background noise than usual. Okay. That is possible. Okay. Well, we'll keep fiddling with it. It's pretty sensitive. Like I said, I made some changes to the microphone itself so that it's not automatically like adjusting itself all the time. And so it shouldn't turn itself down anymore, which is good. But if it's collecting some other background noise that's not exactly the best either. We'll have to keep fiddling with it. We'll get it. Whoops. We'll get it fixed. We'll keep working on it, like I said, as we get better. All right, guys. Well, that's it. That's the start of the show. I got a whole lot of nothing. Oh, tonight is an aviation event for my son. I'm gonna take him out to that after the stream is over. His high school that he's going into next year has a starting new aviation program that's supposed to include middle schoolers or not middle schoolers, but high schoolers, in helping them possibly get their private pilot certificate and such. I don't know how realistic that is going to be, because general aviation costs a lot of money. As a flight instructor, it's one of the biggest hurdles that we talk about students having issues with. But I'm gonna go put him in the orientation tonight and sit there and feel it out and see what it's all about. Because he deserves to have the opportunity if he wants to have it. So we're gonna try to give it to him. And then Saturday is our first baseball practice. I think that I'm gonna end up being a coach for the team this year. It looks like, which I'm really excited because it's possibly the last year that Jack will need me as a coach. You know, my wife and I talk about how our oldest is probably a lot of Microsoft Flight Sim. Yeah, that's fair. Could be. As a coach, it's one of the most fulfilling things that I've ever done as a father, is coaching my son in baseball, and I'm excited about that. And what I was saying was, my daughter will be 18 next year, which means that she's going to be an adult. So, this even reminds me even more of why I want to have the opportunity to coach one more year, because I'm slowly running out of these times. And that makes me kind of sad. I'm still going to be useful. I'm still going to be dad, but all those little moments that you put into your kids, and the time just goes, and then they're gone. Then they're adults, and then you learn to live as yourself again. So that's going to be an interesting change. Anyway, more to come. It's time to read. Here's the bookmark. It's the Enterprise. We always put it up because that means that somebody's paying attention, and they'll be able to edit this down to a supercut someday. And we've placed a stream marker. The book is Glasslands, and the beauty is we're starting a brand new chapter, unlike the last 2 episodes where we started in the middle of a chapter. So anyway, bookmark. Let's do this. Chapter 7. It's the one thing we can't crack. All the Forerunner technology we've been able to exploit, all the improvements in drive performance and weapons capacity, we can now incorporate into infinity. And we still can't send a ship into slip space and calculate exactly where and when she's going to emerge from it. That advance alone would have saved Ariadne's crew. Rear Admiral Sayed Shafiq, UNSC Procurement. Forerunner Dyson Sphere, formerly Onyx, local date November 2552. Wherever she is, she's almost certainly safe, Halsey said, slapping one palm against the wall. She still held the gray cylinder in the other. The Forerunners built this for safety. Let's just think our way through this. Mendez seemed to be taking no notice of her. He turned to the right and vanished into the gloom. Fred and Linda were working their way across the wall at the end of the passage with tactical lamps from their rifles, searching for signs of an opening. The masonry seemed to swallow any light that fell upon it. There was also trying to keep something out, Doctor. They were also trying to keep something out, Doctor. Mendez's voice boomed out of the darkness. And there was something moving around in there. That's why she went in. Why don't you take another look at the control panel? It's got to be linked. Halsey knew when she was being told to shut up and get lost. It made her scalp prickle. She wasn't used to being surplus to requirements. She couldn't see Olivia or Tom, but Ash and Mark, who seemed to be giving her a wide berth, were back in the control lobby working their hands across the dazzling display of symbols. She got as far as the end of the passage and thought better of it. Her natural tendency was to tell them to stop and leave it to someone who knew what they were doing, but she wasn't so sure that she did. Things just seemed familiar. That was inevitable, she supposed. If humans did share some common origin with the Forerunners, many symbols were rooted in basic physiology, like dominance of red as a warning. But she still felt uneasy, leaving this to gifted amateurs. Are they gifted? Are they acceptable? How did Ackerson select them? Halsey had assessed enough children in her time to be able to spot ability and character traits, crisis or no crisis. Her curiosity was consuming her now. She wanted to know more about the Spartan Threes. She could still hear Mendez calling for Lucy. The girl couldn't respond, even if she could hear him, of course. What was he thinking? Letting someone in that condition serve on the front line. She turned around and went after him. He probably wasn't in a teachable moment, but things had to be said. Then there was Kurt's misguided attempt to enhance the Spartan Three's neurobiology. No, she refused to believe that was Kurt's idea. Whatever he'd told her, her Spartans were too intelligent to make that mistake. They'd have realized that deliberately creating a personality disorder that had to be kept in check with medication was asking for trouble. Spartans were likely to be cut off from supply lines in the field, forced to live off of the land, and the last thing that they needed was reliance on drugs that could run out. This had to be Ackerson's amateur tinkering. Halsey wandered up to Mendez as casually as possible. I should have realized that Lucy's judgment was impaired, she said carefully. It's neurobiological. How long since the Spartan Threes had their meds? Too long, Chief. And we're not likely to get resupplied anytime soon. Mendez emerged from the gloom and gave her a long, unblinking stare, lips pressed in a tight line. It was his "don't push me" look. During the Spartan 2 program, she'd rarely been the recipient of it, but Mendez had dropped off her radar more than 20 years ago, and he was a lot less differential now than she recalled. Is that when he first betrayed me? I was pretty sure he'd been sucked into another classified project, but I never dreamed he'd team up with Ackerson. They're experienced special forces, Mendez growled, not malfunctioning AIs. What do you want me to do, power them down? That stung. Did he know? Did Ackerson himself even know that she'd eventually shut down, killed Ackerson's interfering AI, Araquiel? Probably not. She brazened it out. Chief, do you understand what I'm saying? Even Kurt acknowledged that the Three's judgment would be shaky. Halsey abandoned her "trust me, I'm a doctor" voice. You know damn well that he modified them genetically to reduce frontal lobe activity. That needs regular medication to keep it in check. But we don't have those antipsychotics, do we? I won't bore you with the details, but you might want to look up RADI sometime. Reactive aggression. It's, in a nutshell, your Spartans might be better at coping with injury and stress, but without their happy pills, they're going to be dangerously violent. Mendez sucked in a breath. Yeah, I do understand the big words, Doctor, but I trained them from the age of 6, so I know them. They're my men and women. They're as rational and professional as anyone else. How can you say that? Is Lucy even functioning? Halsey had to make him understand that kind of aphasia just wasn't normal. Nobody that traumatized should be serving on the front line. How long has she been mute? Coming up 7 years, Mendez shrugged, almost as if he was provoking her. Maybe 8. 8 damn years? Are you serious? Halsey was appalled. A soldier who can't communicate? She's not
just a liability to herself, Chief. She's a liability to her whole team, especially with that frontal lobe modification. Well, Doctor, she didn't have that. That's how she is naturally. Any other dazzling wrong diagnosis you want to share with us? That stung. He'd made her look like an idiot. But a sudden muffled silence settled on her like a wet fog. There was enough light in the tunnel for her to see the body language around her. Even if the Spartans' helmets made their expressions unreadable, Olivia and Tom were looking at her, heads turned, unmoving. She'd expected the Spartan Threes to resent comments about Lucy, but Kelly looked a little troubled too. Halsey could tell from the way she swung her arm slightly. I admit it's not ideal, ma'am, Kelly said, but we work around it. Lucy can signal just fine. The passage suddenly filled with light, harsh and bright enough to sting Halsey's eyes for a moment. Ash and Mark cheered and came jogging back down the passage. As her eyes adjusted, Halsey could see the layout of the corridor and the wall ahead of her. We might be latent psychos, Mark said, but we still can operate a light switch. Halsey couldn't tell from his tone if he was making a friendly joke or taking a pop at her. Seeing as the lights were indeed on, she let it pass and examined the wall, one-handed. There appeared to be a rope-edged margin cut in the blocks, a rectangle 5 meters by 3 with a vertical row of symbols set down. The right-hand side. Set down the right-hand side. It said door to her, and it also said kept shut for a good reason. They're back, Ash said. Halsey looked around. The other gray cylinders had returned, floating like ghostly bottles. One peeled off from the others and drifted over to Mendez, settling about 30 meters from his face. He stared at it. If it had the slightest understanding of human expression, it would have fled. Halsey let go of her cylinder, and it floated up to head height, making no effort to escape. Ah, she said. She and Mendez were the only two not wearing helmets, and they were also the only two with cylinders peering into their faces. What's different about you and me, Chief? She asked. Why are they interested in us and not the Spartans? Mendez took out his cigar and parked it in the corner of his mouth again. Age, unsocial habits, guilt. I'm being serious. Well, if I were them, I'd be making sure that nobody who got in here was contaminated with that flood thing you were talking about, he said. Because if they were, I'd have to destroy them. Maybe they're sampling what we're exhaling, which they obviously can't do with anyone in a helmet. That was actually rather solid logic. She hadn't thought in terms of flood infiltration. She didn't know enough about it, just references to the parasite and Cortana's transmissions. But if that was what the Halo array was designed to wipe out, then the Forerunners had obviously decided the flood was a catastrophic threat. Maybe she'd bought into the Forerunners' perfect technical genius a little too much. They seemed to accept that their systems needed multiple fail-safes, and if these cylinders were biosentries, then maybe doors that wouldn't open were a biosecurity mechanism as well. Let's see, Fred said, and lifted his helmet. One of the other cylinders that was waiting patiently moved across to hover in front of him. He huffed on it, but it held its position. Halsey wished she'd checked the display underneath its base. Gold star, Chief. Olivia turned back to the wall and pressed the symbols, head cocked as if listening. Fred reached into his belt and pulled out a ration bar. It had been a long time since any of them had eaten. He unsealed it and stared at it as if it was steeling himself to put an angry cobra in his mouth. Halsey hoped he didn't call the rations what some of the other Spartans did. If he said the word, the association would be unbreakable, and she'd never be able to stomach eating them. She accepted that the texture was deeply unappealing. Fred bit a chunk off of the end, rewrapped the remainder, and chewed it slowly. Vile, he said. One day I'm going back to the UNSC procurement to find a job's worth who designed these and force feed them to him. What if it's a woman? Kelly said. I'm very equally minded, her as well. Halsey took comfort from the fact that they were at least sounding upbeat, even if their internal reality was very different. Fred clipped his helmet to his belt and walked up to the wall. The cylinder stuck with him managing not to get in his way. Would we hear her if she was hammering on the other side? He asked. He looked at Mendez as if a nod of approval, then glanced at Halsey. It struck her as an attempt to head off more arguments. Linda, take Mark and Ash to do another check around the perimeter of this place. If Lucy had managed to pass through this barrier, Halsey reasoned that she could follow too. It was just a matter of reproducing whatever Lucy had done, and those options had to be fairly limited. Halsey spent the next 20 minutes examining the block of wall between head and waist height, and then walking straight at it in case there was a proximity sensor that would react to her. She didn't seem to be getting very far. The cylinder followed her around patiently, like an attentive PA waiting on her instructions. What's the matter? Fred asked. Halsey turned around to see what he was talking to. Getting bored? The cylinder that had been hovering around Fred had drifted off and was now making its way down the passage to the entrance. Halsey looked to check if Mendez was still being pursued by his cylinder, and he was, and wondered what prompted Fred's to leave. It wasn't her biggest problem right now, though. They were no nearer to finding Lucy than they had been an hour ago. Sometimes Jacob Keyes spoke to her very clearly, like a conscience. You really only interested in solving puzzles, Catherine? That's the only reason you ask me what I'm thinking. She'd expected to hear the voice more often now that Jacob was dead. But she accepted that her ability to forget about people when she no longer needed them wasn't an admirable quality. She couldn't remember ever having a proper row with him during their brief relationship, and there had been few harsh words even afterwards. But once, just once, he told her that her apparent concern for people was just fascination when they didn't behave as she expected or wanted them to. Halsey wanted to believe right then that she was worried about Lucy, who was in no shape to be fighting a war. Sometimes Halsey could look within herself and see clearly the gulf between what she wanted to believe and what actually had driven her. She looked now and admitted to herself that the need to unlock all the Forerunner mysteries was driving her slightly more than the need to locate Lucy. Does it matter, though? As long as she ends up safe, does my motive matter? And yes, it did. The only way she justified what she'd done in the Spartan program was to focus on trading a few hundred lives for billions. Motive was her sole defense. Goddamn, Mendez was muttering to himself, a little indistinct, as if he had something in his mouth. I swear, I'm going to eat grass before I have to swallow another mouthful of this crud. Halsey turned. Mendez was struggling with one of his ration bars. He held out half of it to her without a word, but she shook her head and walked back to the entrance to study the symbols some more, trying to piece together the sequences that she could recognize from the lexicon on her laptop. Her stomach could wait. The cylinder was still shadowing her like a bodyguard. A few minutes later, she heard Mendez grunt and say bye. As she spotted movement in her peripheral vision, one of the cylinders drifted past her and went outside. She was too engrossed in trying to find symbols that might shed some light on the unyielding door at the end of the passage to pay more attention to it. But then something sharp and painful stabbed her right in the thigh, and she yelped. It was more surprise than anything, but it damn well hurt. She looked down, expecting to find one of the long-tailed beetles that Olivia had plucked from her jacket, but saw a cylinder withdrawing what looked like a needle from the folds of her skirt. Kelly, Fred, and Mendez came running. Halsey made a grab for the cylinder, but it darted away. It didn't get very far. A shot rang out, and it shattered into a dozen pieces and went bouncing across the flagstones. Halsey looked up to see Linda standing outside the entrance with her rifle still raised. Better safe than sorry, she said, and started collecting the fragments. What did you do, Doctor? Halsey rolled up the hem of her skirt and checked the damage. A blob of blood welled from a small puncture in her thigh. It suddenly struck her now how thinly white and blue-veined her skin looked these days. So I'm getting old. How the hell did that ever happen to me? I don't know yet, she said, but it's going to be interesting to find out. Sanctuary of the Abiding Truth, on Tom, sang Helios. The servants of the Abiding Truth were at best misguided, and at worst certifiably insane, but Jewel had to admire their creativity. He watched the motley assortment of monks handing out weapons to the assembled malcontents and patriots who had shown up at the secret rally in the crypt of the sanctuary. Judging by the numbers, it could have been a secret, or it couldn't have been that big of a secret. Some of the weapons he knew were based on technology that had come directly from the Forerunners. The Abiding Truth clung to the old orthodoxy, the beliefs that first started the war between Sangheli and San Shayum in the distant past and had ended with Sanghelios being annexed by the Covenant. Their stance was clear: all exploitation of Forerunner relics, what Jewel preferred to call technology, was sacrilege. But it didn't seem to stop from bearing the arms for revolution. Jewel leaned over one of the monks as he opened another crate of weapons. A theological point, brother. Can you explain to me why it's permitted to use sacrilegious technologies? The monk turned his head and looked up at him, slightly bemused. Because, brother, by using sacrilege to counter sacrilege, we return the balance of grace. And the weapons have passed through the hands of the heretics and the non-believers. So by using them for a holy purpose, we erase the sins. Jewel wrestled with that for a few moments, and decided it was a debate he was better off avoiding. It seemed that the more rules a religion laid down, the more precise its strictures. Then the more devious its adherents felt obliged to become. The gods had laid down the law, but frequently the law was inconvenient, so the only way to break it without incurring damnation was to argue over what humans called the small print. Jewel felt that it bred sly morality and specious arguments, unattractive traits in this race. If the gods wanted their bidding done, then they owed it to the mortals to turn a blind eye to the infractions. Force tilted his head to get his attention. Jewel walked over to him to see what he wanted. It's been 2 days, Force said quietly. Do you think you should contact Ray and let her know where we are? She knows, and she also knows that what we have to do is best left undiscussed. Jewel looked around the crypt. He didn't expect to see anyone he recognized, but he was sure he had once served with at least 3 former shipmasters in this crowd. He didn't know if it was piety or pragmatism that had brought them here. In the end, it didn't matter. Telcam stepped up onto a dais at the north end of the crypt and spread his arms. Brothers, he said, we know what we do know is neither legal nor unpatriotic. Sangheli, common law, has always permitted warriors to challenge a decision by a Kaidan when they feel that decision is flawed or harmful. Normally that challenge would not be made covertly, but these are global issues, and the consequences of failure will affect more than our own keeps. The struggle is for the future of Sanghelios. We must be discreet if we are to succeed, in case our many enemies seize a chance to further divide us. There was a rumble of approval throughout the crowd. Jewel believed that every state, every race, every species had its own special failing. Kigyar would do anything for money. Geralhane would go out of their way to seek a fight. Humans would never tell the simple truth when a lie was available. And Sangheli took refuge in believing that they were what they were not. Every Sangheli believed that he was open, straightforward, and driven by honor. Jewel wished that he were, but he was honest enough to admit to himself that it was more an aspiration than a description. This was a secret uprising that would be carried out in the way most devious manners possible, because that was the only way it was going to succeed. They were planning a coup. They were going to assassinate the head of state. He preferred to face that head on. The shipmasters Jewel recognized had now gravitated together and stood in a small huddle in the center of the crowd. One of them raised his arms to ask a question. This is a promising array of weapons, holy brother, he said, and I commend you on your procurement skills. But we'll need warships to challenge the Arbiter, and I believe I still have the personal loyalty of my crew, so I offer my old command, unflinching resolve. But we might require some emphatic persuasion to release her from the shipyard. Telcam gave the shipmaster a polite nod. Baran, that's most generous. Everyone in this room has seen service, so I'm certain there will be no shortage of volunteers to help you reclaim her. Forza leaned his head slightly towards Jewel. Don't, I beg you. This is one time not to volunteer. But Jewel was busy assessing the caliber of the revolutionaries in the crypt. Apart from the 3 shipmasters, most of them seemed to be enthusiastic youngsters or elderly middle-ranking warriors, and it was going to take more than motivation to deal with the Arbiter. Jewel had no choice but to volunteer. It was a peculiar feeling. He really didn't want to do this, and he feared where it would end, but he couldn't bring himself to walk away from it. It was the first time he'd ever felt a sense of inevitability that verged on helplessness. So he stepped forward because it was impossible now for him to step back. Brothers, if the Arbiter still had the stomach to finish the true war, then I would currently be the master of a cruiser. Jewel raised his voice and hoped it didn't sound as shaky as it felt in his throat. In the absence of anything else to occupy my time, I volunteer my services to reclaim unflinching resolve and return it to duty. The ship was a frigate. Jewel didn't wish to be seen as pulling unspoken rank on the master of a smaller ship, and was simply stating his qualification. But Shipmaster Brand turned to stare at him as if he challenged his authority. Then his jaws compressed in amusement. 4 shipmasters in 1 warship, he said, nodding his head enthusiastically. That'll be interesting, won't it? No long watches. That's what it means, one of the other shipmasters said. Everybody barked with laughter. Nothing like being fresh for a fight. Force made a despairing rumble in his throat. He caught Jewel by the shoulder and turned him discreetly away from the crowd. Why do you always fling yourself into these situations? Because if I don't act, who will? But Jewel's stomach was busy, tying his intestines into bows. And this is the first time that I've ever defied the will of my so-called superior. Force slapped back on him, relenting as if reluctance had shamed him. It was more a question than a rebuke. I'm still here. Jewel watched the 3 shipmasters having what looked like a hushed, very private conversation, and waited for the right moment to walk over and interrupt. He now volunteered to take part in the raid on a shipyard and seize a frigate. Now he had to embark on the more difficult part of that bold decision and actually work out the plan for doing it. He found himself fidgeting with an arm in his pocket as he waited for the natural break in the conversation. The device was starting to become an obsessive habit at this point, just as it had been when he was a boy, because he hated losing, especially to inanimate objects. The Arum hadn't taught him persistence and acceptance. It had simply fueled his sense of frustration with procedures. And he still hadn't managed to release the gem at the heart of the sphere yet. He expected better of himself. He was down to the 3rd level of the sphere and becoming hopeful of success when Baran stepped back from the knot of shipmasters and gave him his opening. So you have a plan for this, do you? Baran asked. Getting into the shipyard will be simple parts of the operation. Removing unflinching resolve will be much more of a challenge. Why? Who's going to stop us? More to the point, why would they stop us? A slow realization was dawning on Jewel that the Sangheili had become so used to the orderly world of command structures that, great schism or not, the idea of deceiving their own kind seemed almost beyond them. It was another art the Sangheili needed to learn from humans. I would suggest that we simply assemble a skeleton crew, go to your ship, and then fly her out of the shipyard. Just like that, said Baran. Just like that? Apart from then finding a secure location to hide her? Yeah, just like that. Perhaps Baran was persuaded by the fact that Jewel had been the shipmaster of a cruiser. In the complex hierarchy of the fleet, commanding a ship with greater firepower tended to give a warrior greater standing in the eyes of his comrades. It was also entirely possible that Baran and his 2 colleagues were, like so many others, suddenly cast adrift with neither a clear purpose nor the chain of command provided by the San Shayum. In a world devoid of ideas, the shipmaster with half of a plan was emperor. Bran looked to his two comrades as if looking for agreement, and then did a little nod of acceptance. Very well, I shall contact my most reliable crew, and we shall simply take the ship. I shall also pray that I don't wake up one morning and find myself sitting in a nest and transformed into a kig yard, because this is how those little vermin would operate. And they're mostly successful at it, which should give us a little heart. Jewel said, contact me through this temple when you're ready to make a move. My keep may well be enough of a backwater to hide your frigate. Force hadn't said a word. He simply stood there at Jewel's side, just as the other two shipmasters flanked Baran and offered no opinion. Jewel didn't even know the names of Baran's comrades, but then they hadn't asked for his name either. It was a promising start, perhaps. Jewel thought he could teach them to think like the enemy after all. He could teach them to abandon their morals. Sometimes the defining characteristic of a culture could be the same one that's proved to be its downfall. Humans prided themselves on their compassion and sense of fair play, despite copious evidence to the contrary. So much so that their very word for it was humane. Sangheili measured themselves by their prowess on the battlefield, and in order to demonstrate their prowess, a warrior had to be seen and to fight. Jewel understood that reflex, but he also knew just how successful humans had been using the most underhand and dishonest tactics, not just bluff and feint, but the most complex and disgusting deceptions. They were prepared to forfeit their lives of their own people to achieve it, too. I think I know where I draw the line, but until I reach that point, I will employ all necessary means. Bran and his companions moved away, and Forrest concerned Jewel. I think we should return to home now, he said quietly. Theirs is the next move, and I think you'll have some explaining to do to Rhea. I'm still working up sufficient courage to mention the matter of my wife to my wife. Jewel looked up at the ceiling of the crypt. He'd actually seen very few Forerunner structures, and never from the inside. The quality of the stonework was exquisite. The joints of every ancient block were as precise and perfect as the most modern architecture on St. Helios. It gave him a sudden urge to explore the building. I want to see the rest of this temple, he said. Please don't tell me that you've had an attack of piety. No, Jewel looked around to see if he could find Telcam. I'm simply curious. Gods or not, we have to at least be respectful of the Forerunners and perhaps discover what became of them. If the Forerunners had been gods, then they would have shown themselves in the Covenant's greatest hour of need. Gods were supposed to do that kind of thing. But the idea that they were an ancient civilization that had vanished almost without trace, except for few remnants of their technology, now intrigued Jewel far more than the idea of magical divinity. He headed for Telcam, aware that engaging an enthusiast on his favorite topic was a very, very good way to build trust. This is how obsession starts, Forza warned, but Jewel ignored him and intercepted the monk. May I see the rest of the temple, Jewel asked. I've never seen an intact artifact before. We only have ruins in my state, but then you already know that. Telcam gestured forward with the sweep of his arm and ushered Jewel and Forza through the honeycomb and interconnecting passages, all exquisitely faceted with stones and blocks so carefully laid that it was impossible to put a blade between them. There were inlaid panels on the walls filled with swirls and lines that Jewel recognized as Forerunner symbols, thrown into sharp relief by the dim lights strung overhead. It didn't look as if any maintenance had been carried out down here for centuries. Jewel was intrigued by a side corridor that disappeared into darkness and began to wander that way. Telcam caught his arm. That's walled off, a dead end, he said. Whatever the Foreigners left down there, we weren't destined to enter. Who else comes down here? Nobody, Telcam said. Everyone forgot us generations ago, but we didn't forget the gods. That only intrigued Jewel more. He did as he was asked and walked on. One panel in particular took his fancy. It appeared to be a list, The symbols were laid out in horizontal rows at the center, with lines radiating from them to individual symbols around the edges of a cartouche. Jewel put out his hand involuntarily, but his thumbs brushed against a rigid shell like a matte glass screen. He hadn't even seen it. It seemed to dissolve into the wall. Telcam caught his shoulder. The shield was placed there long before the Sanshayum arrived, he said. The servants of this day said that touching the symbols produced strange effects that seemed like a sensible reason not to interfere with them. Jewel marveled at the odd blend of self-control and lack of curiosity. What do you think it is? Looks like a control panel to me, Forson muttered. There are those who believe it's a map, Telcam said. Worlds that the gods visited and locations of holy rings. Jewel counted at least 7 separate rows of symbols. Holy rings made the halo array sound so benign. Was that what this diagram was? He made note of it. The Forerunners were well traveled, he said. If he'd been allowed the time to study the panel, he had been looking for 6 or more identical symbols and worrying about them. But he couldn't begin to make sense of this map. If that was what it was, and generous, but what do they really want from us? To wait patiently for their return, Telcam said. To trust them? Jewel wondered how much trust he was willing to put into the gods. Who would destroy a galaxy just to save it? But that was another theological debate that he didn't plan to pursue. UNSC Port Stanley, 10,000 kilometers off of Venetia. If only it hadn't been Venetia. If only. If Ariadne had gone down near any other planet, any other colony world, then it would have been just that. A tragic and avoidable loss of life caused by an unhappy conjunction of inadequate maintenance. A colonial bureaucracy mired in safety concerns and sheer rotten bad luck. But it was Venetia, and Venetia had a history. Osmond stood at the view screen, hands in her pockets, staring out into the space in the direction of Ariadne's drifting debris, and tried to work out what she wanted to do now was actually what needed doing. I know that Chief Mendez would say, stick it to the bastards and make them pay. There was a whole generation of UNSC now who didn't remember the colonial insurrection, and even Osmond was too young to recall the details of the war that shaped her life before the Covenant gave humanity a bigger problem to worry about. But however bloody the war with the Covenant had been, it was colonial terrorism that shaped her fate. It was the real reason why her life and her parents' lives had been wrecked by Catherine Halsey. The Spartan program had been Halsey's personal plan to give the UNSC the upper hand in the insurrection. The fact tended to get forgotten these days. That's the last thing I should be thinking about right now. All hands lost on Ariadne, and those bastards on Venetia could have made a big difference, but they chose not to. Even when they don't lift a finger, they're still killing us. BB's reflection glided into the view and floated next to her. Agent Spencer's ready, Captain. Phillips has finished extracting every last drop of juice from his brain. Well, I'm glad he found something to pass the time. Osmond went back to her seat and tapped the console. She liked to see an on-off switch when it came to comms, just in case. Port Stanley to Mana Casino. How long do you plan to continue the search? We're mapping the outer edge of the debris spread. That'll take another hour. Monte Casino's executive officer, Cerny, gave her the impression that he felt personally responsible for arriving too late, and that he was now busy overcompensating. We're ready to transfer your personnel whenever you're ready. Do you want us to send a shuttle? Negative, Monte Casino. There's not enough room to dock, and the last thing we need is some Matalot nosing around the hangar. We'll come to you. There wasn't a hope in hell that anyone had survived the explosion. Ariadne now was only a small patrol vessel with a 4-man shuttle, but Monte Cassino insisted on doing it by the book. Occasionally, crew had managed to survive catastrophic accidents when sealed compartments were blown clear and didn't rupture. The Navy tended to cling to scraps of hope like this. Reality, however, was not on their side. Monte Cassino to Port Stanley. Venetia is getting a little grand and warning us that were encroaching on their territorial limits stand by. Osmond gestured to Bibi. Take us in closer. What are they planning to do about it? Complain to the Colonial Authority? Too bad they blew up a local CAA bureau. I've reassured them that we have no intention of landing. They need reassuring with a few warheads. We'll keep an ear to your channel. Osmond debated whether to break cover and pay a visit to whatever passed for an administration on Venetia, but it wasn't any of her business, much as she wanted it to be, and she had to keep her mind on the mission at hand. The old problem had suddenly reared its head again. Did UNSC turn a blind eye to whatever the colonies did, or did they exact some kind of vengeance and kick off the whole conflict again? She'd grown used to thinking of those efforts of policy decisions as being above her pay scale, but very soon they would not be. I'm supposed to be destabilizing Helios. I'm not supposed to be opening up rifts between humans. But God Almighty, somebody needs to put Venetia in its box once and for all. She could hear Spencer walking down the passage onto the bridge, muttering with Phillips and Vaz. The word bastards carried a long way. It was all those sibilants. I think this is where I came in, Spencer said, holding his hand out to her for a final shake. It's been good seeing you again, Oz. I suppose the next time we meet, you'll be convening an Oni Star Chamber, and I'll be the accused. Never, Osmond held on to his hand. Spencer might have been buried on Reyes for years at a time, but he still seemed to keep up to speed with the gossip. Parangoski's set on staying in post until she reaches at least a century. Just don't get caught up in any Helios crossfire. That's all. The lid's going to come off of that thing pretty soon. She would have forced a smile if she hadn't been flying into a cloud of pulverized ship. Don't worry. We'll stand from under, she said. You know, Oni, 9 lives, all of them deniable. I'm not going to ask you what you're shipping, but your noisy passenger might. Tell him we're selling narcotics to the young Goy. It's an idea whose time has come. She let go of his hand, and he disappeared in the direction of the top hatch with Phillips, who seemed to be intent on wringing every last scrap of Sangheili cultural trivia out of him. Vaz hung back. Are we getting involved in the Ariadne thing, ma'am? We can't, she said, much as I'd love to. That's Hood's problem now. He's the one who's supposed to be getting touchy-feely with the colonies. We'll just hang around and see Monte Cassino safely away. Vaz nodded, looking unconvinced, and walked off. For a moment, she thought she might have offended him by referring to the colonies so dismissively. But he was from Earth, just like Mal, Devereaux, and Phillips. It hadn't been a deliberate policy to pick a team of Earth boys, but it didn't do any harm either. Naomi had been taken from a colony world just like Osmond herself. She wondered if Naomi could even remember where she came from, after years of having their past bleached away and replaced with an artificial destiny. It was hard for any Spartan to tell what was a genuine memory of what had been part of the brainwashing process. Persuasion and acclamation, a lifelong training. What a lovely euphemism. Was that what you called it, Halsey? There were times when Osmond wished she'd never been given access to Halsey's private journals at all, but she kept going back to the file and staring at the self-serving, self-deluding garbage driven by the same stomach-turning cocktail of compulsion and revulsion that made humans stare at mangled corpses. Training? You bitch. Osmond made a conscious effort to forget the journal and checked the security display. Anyone on the ship with a neural interface showed up as a transponder code on the deck's plan. Naomi was still messing around in the engineering spaces where her armor was stored. Vaz and Mal showed up as 2 small dots moving back and forth around her, as if they were trying to give her a hand, and she was telling them she could manage just fine on her own. Phillips had no implants, so Osmond needed a little help from Bibi to locate him walking back to his cabin. The dropship was now on its way to the rendezvous with Monte Cassino, and then they'd all be free of the embarrassing complications of passengers who had to be kept away from incriminating cargo lying within the hangar. Phillips, to his credit, hadn't been idle. He'd fed all the intercepted Sangheili comms through transcription so that Osmond could physically read them while she was listening to something else. BB could have intercepted, recorded, translated, transcribed, and analyzed the whole lot of the matter in seconds. But he could also navigate and fight the ship too, and she still preferred to do much of it herself. BB, in full control of Port Stanley, only needed humans to shake hands with dignitaries and handle the fiddly close-quarters combat. But he knew that they needed to feel more useful than that to make life worth living. She'd never had an AI like him before. He was more than an assistant. He was an intelligence officer in his own right. And he was eager also as her bodyguard. They'd been teamed up for less than a month, and she already found herself dreading the day when he wouldn't be around any longer. Damn, that's depressing. Gotta stop that. I'll be volunteering for a full AI neural interface next. Osmond kept half her attention on the radio, and she let the hours of transcript scroll in front of her on the main CIC screen. The ebb and flow of voice traffic had blended into white noise of requests and checks as Monte Cassino spiraled slowly out from the center of the explosion, scanning for debris as she went, and then working her way back again. It was only when an abrupt, unfamiliar voice broke into the circuit that her attention was dragged from the transcript that made her listen. UNSC warship, this is Phoenicia TC. You are now in sovereign space. Suggest you withdraw. It was like hearing archived material from 50 years ago. There was something oddly distressing about a human voice issuing a hostile challenge to a warship, and Osmond could only listen. Venezia couldn't detect Port Stanley, and that was how it had to stay. Venezia TC, this is Monte Cassino. We're keeping you fully informed of our intended movement. You're fully aware that we're searching for possible survivors. Monte Cassino, unless you turn back, we will open fire. There was a brief pause, and then Commander Cerny's tone changed from flat calm of a few seconds earlier. I suggest you don't do that, Venezia, because we'll return fire. You were going to do that anyway. Venezia out. She jerked forward in her seat. Venezia didn't have the firepower to take out Monte Cassino, but Osmond still had a pilot and a dropship out there. BB appeared instantly just above the console and shivered slightly. I think it's National Foolhardy Day, he said. I've alerted Devro, and she's standing off until this nonsense is over. Thanks, BB. Flash Monte Cassino discreetly and tell them that we're here for backup if they need us. Port Stanley was close enough to Venezia now for Osmond to see the planet and the faint point of light that was the warship. She watched from the view screen, waiting for Cerny's voice over the radio saying that he'd completed the search and were pulling back. But about a minute later, she caught a burst of static and the tail end of a warning. Brace, brace, brace. She thought she saw a streak of light followed by a faint starburst like a flare, but it was gone before she could study it. Whatever was it? It definitely hadn't been Monte Cassino. Any impact would have been visible at this range. But it looked like the bastards really had opened fire on the destroyer. What the hell was that, BB? Ground base AAA. Let me know's around. Osmond could now hear what was happening on the ship's bridge. Point of origin identified. Acquiring lock. Stand by. Take. Missile away. Time to target 82 seconds. 82 seconds. It was a painfully long time when you couldn't see what was happening. If Monte Cassino hit the launch site, then Osmond would be none the wiser until the ship confirmed the kill. But she was far more worried about the prospect of Venezia now having space-capable missiles, which they'd certainly never had before. They'd confined their off-world activities to ship-to-ship tactics and landing personnel to plant explosive devices. They'd never been in the big weapons league. Who the hell was selling them that stuff? There was a lot of black market hardware floating around these days, and Osmond knew that better than anyone. But it was a worrying development at the time when Earth didn't need any more problems. That's a kill confirmed, said a satisfied voice that she didn't recognize. It was probably the weapons officer. Target destroyed, standoff help. Port Stanley were pulling back to 5,000 clicks Do you still want to transfer personnel? Osmond had no choice. She couldn't keep Spencer and Muir in tow for a mission like this. Yes, Commander, we do, and we'll take over from here. Return to Earth. Normally I'd ask the captain about that, Cerny said, but we don't usually argue with Oni. I'd appreciate the cooperation. Have you identified the weapon? T-38 AAA. I can only hope they picked it up at a Covenant yard sale, because the alternative is pretty worrying. There must be plenty of disappointed Sangheili who'd love to see humans infighting again. I'll bet, Osmond said. And I'd be amazed if we were the only ones pulling this destabilization stunt, but that's definitely Oni's part of the ship. We'll take it from here, Port Stanley out. She looked up toward the deckhand to call BB, a reflex she'd suddenly picked up. She felt she was appealing to a guardian angel. Is that right, BB? On the nose, Captain. I piggyback on their comm signals and check their returns myself. Okay, thanks. Mal, Naomi, and Vaz came onto the bridge, looking offended at being dragged away from their decent fight. Mal raised his eyebrows. Couldn't help overhearing, ma'am. BB popped up again. Me and my big mouth. Reckon it's worth inserting and doing a Reese? Mal asked. They don't know we're here. Once Monty leaves, we can pop in for a look. Osmond gave it 5 seconds of serious consideration. It wasn't something she could ignore, but she'd had to keep the kettle boiling on Sanghelios too. She put Venezia on her mental must-screw list at number 2, and started drafting a control report for a contact report for Parangoski. We'll come back later, she said. I promise. Chapter 8. Don't worry, your secret's safe with me. I'm not going to tell anyone that you're my mother, because I'm pretty sure I know what you've done. And I love Dad too much to see him associated with this. I don't know which is worse, waiting for everyone to find out what you did, or waiting to see if I take after you. If it's all the same to you, Mother dear, I'm going to make sure I take after Dad. Midshipman Miranda Keyes, in a rare message to her estranged mother, Dr. Catherine Halsey. Forerunner Dyson Sphere Onyx, local date November 2552. Dust. Lucy needed dust, but there wasn't a trace of it anywhere. She trailed along behind the engineers, looking frantically for anything she could draw diagrams on. The parking garage area seemed to be a long way behind her now. If she turned around, she wasn't even sure if she could find her way back. Every meter of this passage of plain, smooth stone looked exactly the same. The engineer who'd taken her hand kept stopping and turning, either to check that she was still behind him or to hurry her along. She knew that somewhere outside, Chief Mendez and the others would be looking for her. She hated herself for putting them through this. They had enough problems without having to rescue her as well. Why didn't I just do as Tom told me? How hard could that have been? The engineer led her into a room that looked something like the control room, all screens and lights. Engineers built and rebuilt things, so she allowed herself the luxury of an assumption that this wasn't going to be a sauna. She tucked her helmet underneath her arm and looked around for a polished surface, and there it was, a smooth panel of some glass-like material. It was worth a try. She took off her glove and leaned close to the glass, breathed on it to form condensation. For a fleeting moment, a fine bloom dulled on the surface, and she dragged her finger through it. The engineers clustered around her heads, their heads bobbing, but it was impossible to interpret any reaction on their faces. She tried again. The condensation evaporated almost instantly. So she licked her finger and scrawled Lucy on the glass and tapped her chest. It's like the Galapagos Islands. I've got a population of engineers that's evolved in isolation from the rest of the galaxy, and I still can't tell if they know anything about humans. They were certainly trying to figure out what they could, though. One of them darted into a passage and emerged with a container that looked like a smooth white ceramic mug with a no handle. He held it out to her. Lucy took it and peered in it. A brownish, translucent sludge that smelled faintly of yeast shivered inside. The engineer dipped a tentacle into the sludge and put it into his mouth, flickering out a small, pointed blue tongue to lick it. Lucy now couldn't shake the mental association with the armadillo. So she thought she was hungry. She could understand why he thought a woman who seemed to be sniffing and licking the machinery might be trying to tell them that she wanted food. She handed the mug back and shook her head. Actually, she was ravenous now, but it could wait. The engineer held his tentacles up in front of her and formed them into exaggerated shapes in a slow sequence, some overlapping and some making simple lines and loops. It was quite touching. He was speaking slowly and loudly to her, the stupid foreign tourist trying to make her understand. If she'd been him, though, she'd be spelling out her name. Maybe that was what he was doing. A distant memory flashed Lucy's mind, and then was gone almost as quickly as she tried to grasp it. She was playing charades. It might have been her birthday or Christmas, but she was having fun, miming a title and counting out the syllables by holding up her fingers. Could she even count? She remembered that she hadn't been sure how many fingers to hold up. She tried to focus on the faces watching her, but the scene dissolved into a brightly colored blur, and all she felt was the awareness that she'd been happy and that it had been a long time ago. Well, if engineers were that smart, she'd hand them the contents of her backpack and they could work it out from there. She unslung her rifle and clamped it between her knees, while she eased off her backpack and stopped them from wandering off with a loaded weapon. They gathered around her as she tipped the contents out onto the floor. There was a routine for packing a rucksack with different items in specific layers. Her meager pile of possessions looked as if an archaeological dig had excavated a cross-section of her life. It was probably the same as any soldier or marine carried in their pack, and she suspected it hadn't changed all that much in centuries. Spare shirts, socks, and underwear, extra ammunition, clips, a comb, a bar of multi-purpose soap, a mess tin with folding cutlery, solid fuel pellets, first aid supplies, a snare, a length of fishing line, signaling equipment. But there were no photos of family or any other of the little private things to remind her of her family or home. She didn't have one. And no data pad. That would have helped. And there's always my neural interface. There's got to be some data in that, but that's got to be removed carefully. And if they don't know enough about humans to do that, it'll kill me. The engineers rummaged enthusiastically through the contents of the backpack. The signaling device proved to be a big draw, and they passed it between themselves, tentacles whisking over it in a blur of busy cilia. Each time one passed on it, the shape changed completely in a matter of seconds before they handed it over to the next. Then one of them picked up some of her underwear and stretched a pair of briefs between its tentacles. She was wondering what modifications he could possibly make to her underpants. Well, at least he wouldn't care how gray they were. When she spotted the lettering on the waistband, name tag, there's a name tag. If old tech worked, it stayed. The simplest, cheapest, most durable way to identify your pants among hundreds of identical pairs in the barracks was to have your name and your service number embossed into the fabric. Lucy's briefs, like all of her clothing, bore the name Lucy Bravo 091. She grabbed them from the engineer and held the label up to him, then tapped her chest and pointed to the name, and then to herself a few more times. The engineer, who she'd come to think of as the boss, made a shape with his tentacles, then pointed at himself, then repeated the gesture and waited. Now she was getting somewhere. They seemed to know they were talking about identities. Lucy tried to mimic the shape he was making with his tentacles, but fingers were a poor substitute for completely flexible appendages that divided into increasingly fine cilia. The closest she could get was to form two linked circles with her thumbs and four fingers. And knowing my luck, that'll be the engineer sign for your mom's a skank. The engineer reached for her helmet, and she almost snatched it back, but she had to trust him. She kept her arms at her side, letting the creature she couldn't understand take away her lifeline required for self-control. Engineers, they're harmless. The most they'll do is try to defend themselves. They're not even very good at that. And now all she could do was wait. The two engineers left in the workshop drifted away and left her on her own. She found a low ledge to sit on and tried to think her way out of this. The Sentinels worked out how to speak English just by listening to Ash, so the engineers can work out some basics on whatever data they find in the armor systems, right? But without the ability to make sounds, whatever information she exchanged with them would have to be in symbols. Finding a common set other than pictures was going to be hard. Great. We'll kick off the cave paintings and evolve through the development of written language, all before lunch. Why did I get myself into this? Why didn't I follow my orders? And Dante, William, and Holly are all dead, and so is Kurt. And again, I'm not. Why? Why not me? The boss engineer returned in time and stopped her sliding down that path of misery again. He'd only been gone for a minute, perhaps two, before he drifted back, clutching her helmet like a football, and reached out to run his tentacle across one of the screens on the wall. Letters faded up, black script seeping out of the milky white sheet of glass. Lucy, B091, Reclaimer, welcome to Shield World, Sarcophagus. But life goes on. The font was identical to the one in her underpants. She sucked in a breath and found herself nodding. Life had to go on. She hadn't realized her emotional state was so visible to an alien life form. So now she could write. She reached up to the screen and struggled to frame a response in her mind, but it wasn't just her ability to form spoken words that had withered. She now struggled to express herself even in written forms. The conversations she had with herself in her own mind weren't quite the same. She hadn't realized that until she tried to get them out of her head and make them solid. Just write something, anything. She dragged her finger down to the white glass, expecting to see a line form. It remained stubbornly blank. Of course, it was designed to respond to whatever input the engineers used, not human handwriting. She looked at the engineer and did frustrating shrug. Damn. But he'll get the idea. He'll watch, and then he'll work out what I need to know. I know he will. The engineer placed a tentacle on the screen next to her hand, and more letters formed. Where is the plague? Nothing is dead. Why are you here? His fluency was improving word by word. Lucy tapped the glass with her forefinger. Damn it. He was supposed to be a technical genius, and he couldn't see that she couldn't use the screen. Don't disappoint me. I thought you could do anything. She grabbed his tentacle, like folding the fingers around a little kid's hand to guide his crayon. He flinched and tried to pull away. The left hand felt delicate and smooth, like silicone, and cooler than human skin. Maybe she squeezed too hard and scared him. She hung on and patted the arm to calm down, but pressing his cilia against the glass didn't produce any text. She let him go, out of ideas, and lost for what to try next. But he struck the glass again and more letters formed. Maybe the thousands of tiny cilia were operating the microscopic touching keys. All life lives, talk to prone to drift. Okay, maybe he was extrapolating too far now. That looked like gibberish to her. She shook her head and frowned theatrically. I don't understand. Prone to drift. Lucy frowned again, this time with a shrug. There had to be some body language that would get through to him, but she was running out of the non-words. He touched the screen again. Prone to drift is me. Is me. Is me. God, how did she ever forget that briefing? It was his name. Engineers named their offspring according to how they floated when their gas sacks were first adjusted for buoyancy. His name was Prone to Drift. She wanted to say hi and strained to make a sound, but her throat just felt strangled by the efforts again, and she gave up. Why are you silent? He tapped. Lucy shrugged. She wasn't the only Spartan who'd been through traumas, just the only one who'd been driven to silence by them. She managed to sigh, more a heavy breath than anything. Prone to Drift perked up and cocked his head as if listening harder, but then appeared to realize it was the only sound he was going to get out of her. He didn't seem to be losing patience with her, though. All the frustration was coming from her side of this mimed conversation, and unlike the half-remembered game of charades, it wasn't fun. She suddenly wanted to burst into tears. The other engineers drifted back into the room and exchanged a flurry of gestures with Prone Drift before vanishing again. He took her ungloved hand and examined her palm and the tips of her fingers like a fortune teller. Prone turned her hand as if he was showing it to her, then let go and touch the display. You have blunt appendages. We make adjustments. Lucy felt a warm flood of revelation in her chest. He understands. He really understands. He was going to fix the screen so that she could write on it, and that meant she had to think in formal languages again. She could do it. She had to do it. She had to let him know that she needed to find her squad. She also had to find out what this place actually was, and how they were going to survive here. If she could get Dr. Halsey or Chief Mendez together with Prone and his friends, that discussion could be a lot easier. She'd reached the point of seriously considering using her own blood as ink and scrawling it on the walls and the surfaces of the glass in front of her changed. At first, it seemed to liquefy, with colored chunks drifting in it like a tutti frutti dessert, and then colors coalesced, and she looked at a vertical line of capital letters and a few dots. Her reflex was to try to read it as a word, but then she counted and realized that the line was 26 characters long and none of them repeated. The dots looked like symbols, a question mark, a comma, a dash, and a full stop. It was a keyboard now. That information must be stored in my HUD, the text display, of course. It wasn't in any kind of alphabetical or keyboard order she'd ever seen, but she knew what she had to do with it. She hunted for the letters and prodded them laboriously, like someone learning to type. Few people did that these days, but then very few could still use Morse either, and she could. Prone seemed to be getting excited. We can talk now. We can discover more. The shield has activated, but where is the flood? Lucy was way behind him, hunting not only for the right letters, but trying to frame the right words. A hard thing for most humans to do with some degree of sub-vocalization. She didn't have that option. Prone tried again. Has the array failed? We found no hazard within the shield world, just trace. Lucy tapped as fast as she could. Array, ring, Prone replied. Arc, band, circle, halo. Lucy interrupted. Halo. Prone didn't have shoulders, but she could have sworn that he sagged visibly with relief. Yes, halo, no flood, no fighting, and life continues outside, but the bulkhead's closed, most perplexing. Oh, that's it. I get it now. Revelation was as powerful an emotion as love and fear. It was probably the remnant of a survival mechanism for escaping predators or starvation rather than a sense of intellectual bliss. But the penny dropped and Lucy savored the elation for the moment. Prone wasn't being philosophical about grief when he told her that life goes on. He was asking her why the Dyson sphere had been accessed when there was no threat outside and the halo array hadn't been fired to wipe out everything that had been contaminated by the flood. And if he knew there was no threat outside the Dyson sphere, then he had access to the real-time information about the outside world. Lucy's pulse raced now. Information could pass both ways. That meant the squad could call for extraction. The war may already be over. Lucy grabbed Prone to Drift and hugged him, then tapped out 4 painful words. Sorry about your friend. She hoped he understood that she'd regretted pulling the trigger for the rest of her life. Anrar Shipyard, Ranarum, orbital platform saying Helios system, February 2553, in the human calendar. There's a human proverb, Telcam said, beginning the long walk to the security barrier at the brow. The devil makes work for idle hands. Jewel, Baran, and Forza ambled alongside him, trying to look casual, while 6 of Baran's loyal crew, 2 of them Gerald Hanai, trailed behind. They'd had to beg passage on a repair detail shuttle to make the flight to the orbital yards. It was crewed by Gerald Hane, and the only maintenance worker around seemed to be Ungoy, hardly a substitute for Huragok. The wretched ships up here would be patched with glue and spit, if they were even repaired at all. But Telcam seemed to know a great deal about humans. Jewel was intrigued. "What's the devil?" "One of their evil lesser gods," he said. "I thought they only had one." "Some of them do, but some of them have many. The devil is the opposing force of the single omnipotent God." Jewel grappled with this idea. "But doesn't omnipotence mean that there is no opposing force? And if there's only one God, then how?" He realized he'd invited a theological discussion and changed track rapidly. "Explain this proverb." "It means," Telcam said, "that those left idle will usually find something dishonest or criminal to occupy their time and themselves." Forza grunted. "I usually found that my troops would keep themselves busy with self-improvement or healthy exercises. Only humans veer from the path of virtue when not gainfully employed." Bran glanced at Forza, as if they'd reached a tacit agreement to tease Telcam and hope that they didn't notice. "But I agree that you can't take a war away from warriors and expect them to settle back into quiet domesticity. And that's a concern we should all be aware of." Baran sounded like Rhea. It was the same question. How would the Sangheili find purpose again? Jewel kept his sights lower and concentrated on the immediate tasks, which was to stage the coup. No, it wasn't even that at this point. He had no plans to take the Arbiter's place. He simply wanted to stop the appeasement of humankind. It was the Arbiter's policy, and once he was gone, it would wither and die if a strong enough voice provided an alternative. After that, Jewel would leave the future to those who knew how to govern it. He didn't. Bran moved to the front of the pack as they reached the sentry at the Brow airlock. Unflinching resolve sat tethered to one of the booms of the orbital yard, looking remarkably undamaged. For a ship that had seen such service since her last refit, Jewel could see other warships that hadn't escaped, so lightly berthed in the rows behind her, some bearing much bigger scars from the fighting of the Great Schism. Breaches in hulls temporarily sealed with sheets of alloy and drive housings crumpled from impact. One ship wasn't a ship at all. It was the aft section, with its drive a wreck recovered for parts. But there were no Huragok left to carry out the emergency work or the engineering work. There seemed to be a lot more empty berths than Jewel remembered. The guard, an old warrior, was a monument to lonely patience. He didn't look as if he'd dare move a muscle throughout his watch. Bran walked up to him with arms spread and greeting him. "How goes it, Pydar?" he asked. "I didn't realize you were still serving." "This level of activity best suits my age, shipmaster." Pydar looked on, nodding, terms with death already. But retirement was out of the question for a warrior. "Have you come to inspect Resolve? I'm sorry, but no maintenance has been carried out yet. At least, she's still here. Some Gerolhane crews have sided with their brother traders and stolen the ships. Did anybody try to stop them?" "Hard to do, shipmaster. They never returned to port, and all the Huragok have fled, although I wonder who gave them passage." "Appalling," Bran said, very convincing in disgust. "May we pass? I brought some brothers to see what we can achieve with our own hands. Shocking, my lord, that shipmasters should have to repair their own ships. Nevertheless, it must be done." Bran tilted his head toward the airlock. The ship was connected to the dockside by an assortment of umbilical cables and conduits. One of them, pressure-sealed Brow, for the crew to board. "We do what we can. We plan to run up her drives and test her helm, Pydar. So if you've been relieved by the time I return, give my regards to your Kaidon. It's been good to see you again." Pydar didn't appear to notice the finality and regret in that. He just stood back and opened the inner airlock door for everyone to file across the Brow. "So this is how rebels seized a ship. They just spoke politely to the guard, who assumed, as he ought, that a shipmaster was beyond reproach, and walked up to the brow without a single shot being fired. It wasn't satisfying, or something to boast about to the youngsters of the keep in his old age, but Jewel had to admit that it had worked. Baran opened one of the supply hatches and stuck his head into the deep breath. "It stinks," he said flatly. "Filthy Kigyar cowards. So that's one problem I have no longer to deal with. They all deserted." He squeezed through the hatch and dropped down into the deck. "Very well. Let's see how much ordnance they forgot to loot." "We can worry about that later," Telcam said. "I have my sources for resupply. What we need most is transport, a mobile command center, as a precaution." Baran turned to the Geralhane. "Search the ship. If you find a Kigyar still around, you have my permission to eat them. In fact, I insist." The two Geralhane lumbered away down the passage. Jewel wondered how the Covenant had held together for so long as it had, given how fast the old species' hatreds resurfaced once the restraints of San Shayum domination were stripped away. It was a very thin veneer of unity, and now it was gone. Jewel looked at Forza and knew he was thinking the same thing. There was probably no such thing as a loyal Geralhane, only one that was more scared of the Sangheili superiors than he was of his packmates. Wrath of his reputation. The two species loathed one another. It was a matter of keeping a close eye on those that remained. And then we'll dispense with their assistance completely. Never again. No more alliance or reliance on aliens to keep our society functioning. We'll learn to do things on our own for ourselves. Jewel felt that he spent most of his days now walking up and down the long passages, as if fate was giving him extra time to ask himself if he really wanted to go ahead with these plans. What if nobody arises to take the Arbiter's place and Helios slides into chaos? It was a risk that he had to take. Jewel was damned sure that the humans weren't sitting in quiet reconsideration of their colonial policies. His boots echoed on the deck as he walked the last few meters to the bridge. Telcam hadn't said a word since they reached the Century. "And this is where I move from brave talk to open revolt. This is where it becomes real. From this point on, I have no retreat." Baran surveyed the bridge, swinging his head sadly from side to side. The gloom was punctured by status lights from the few systems needed to keep unflinching resolves vacuum tight and to suppress any fires and fluid leaks. From the forward view screen, Helios looked to Jewel as it always had on his return from missions, a red beacon of warmth and welcome in the cold black void. "For Helios," Baran murmured, and pressed the control to boot up the frigate's AI. The ship came to life section by section, lighting environmental controls and diagnostic panels activating, and went about their business without need of any attention from any crewman. It took only 6 Helios to move a frigate of unflinching resolve, and it didn't have far to travel. Forza checked the navigational computer and entered the spurious flight plan. That would change as soon as they were free of the dock. I had the chance," Jewel said, more to himself than anyone else. "To do what?" Telcam asked. "To kill the Arbiter. He came to speak at our assembly. I could have shot him where he stood, mere meters away. And you'd made a martyr of him. There's a fine line between recklessness and boldness. Acting alone may be noble, but acting together with an agreed plan is effective." Telcam was surprisingly pragmatic for a spiritual man. If he'd believed in the power of the prayer, he hadn't entirely given up on the need for a little extra support from laser cannons and sound tactics. Heroes never die, and neither do their flawed ideals. So you must both kill and credit them. Baran opened the channel to the dockmaster's control room. "Unflinching resolve requests release from the dock for maintenance assessment. You have clearance, Unflinching resolve." Baran glanced at Telcam. "Secure for launch. Proceed 200 to 200 kilometers." Stealing a warship would have horrified the humans, Jewel knew. They had rules and regulations and court martials, but they seemed to worry about the petty administrative things that no Sanghili would concern himself with. Shipmasters and other ranks were taking all manner of vessels and vehicles now. There was no central command to ask permission from or track them, and the only thing a patriot would do with a commandeered vessel was to use it to defend Sanghelios. There were no prophets around to commandeer a vessel from. The fleet belonged to the people, and the people were taking it back. There was now nothing to worry about, nothing at all. Even so, there was no conversation on the bridge until they exited the safety zone. The Jiralhanae trotted in and stood by the doors, looking aimless and confused. "Ship, proceed to these coordinates on my mark," Baran said to the AI. It was a computer designed solely to pilot and control the ship. No more and no less. Nor the extravagantly sentient pet the humans seemed to prefer. Suspend all automated status reports to the dockmaster. Baran would normally have had a junior officer doing all of this for him, but Forza stepped into the role without a word. He seemed to be feeling sorry for the shipmaster already. There really was a sense of finality standing about him. Unflinching resolve began picking up speed, preparing to pass behind Sanghelios to evade detection by the dock sensors before reappearing to lay up at Mdama. Chaos had its virtues. A ship could go missing so easily these days. The frigate passed the planet Terminator and skimmed 200 kilometers above continents shrouded in night. The Anar dockmaster would expect them to be out of contact anyway. Now was the moment that unflinching resolve had to vanish completely. "Ship, maintain comms blackout and shut down transponders," Baran said. "Begin landing sequence." Jewel had thought that he'd reached his own point of no return, but he had not yet. There would be an irrevocable moment to come, but right now all he was doing was slipping one step at a time towards it, and it could be reversed with no questions asked. Ray, she knew not to ask them. She was also smart enough to work things out for herself. Unflinching resolve descended through the atmosphere 1,000 kilometers from Pecan Keep and made the rest of the flight at 8,000 meters through night skies. "There's something to be said for being backward country yokels," Force said. "Try doing this in Vadam without anyone noticing." But many in Indomna would have noticed, of course. They just wouldn't ask any questions or interfere. With all those treacherous Jiralhanae and Kikyar around, many officers were busy making sure that assets didn't end up in the hands of the assortment of new enemies. The excuse made itself. This wasn't theft, it was patriotism. Unflinching resolve hovered above a quarry 5 kilometers from the keep, and then descended into an artificial canyon to settle on her dampers. Nobody spoke for a while. It was done. They'd seized a warship, and the coup had begun. Baran reached out to shut down the active systems, and the bridge faded into darkness again, lit only by the faint glow of the status lights. "I'll return in 6 days," Baran said. "Now, we lie low and plan a little more. Time to disembark, brothers." They sealed the hatches behind them, and Baran looked back at the frigate. There was no way of camouflaging her. As Forza had said, it sometimes helped to live in the back of beyond. "We must take good care of her," Baran said sadly. "There are no Hurgok left to fix or replace her. Yet," Jewel said. "No new ships yet. The day will come." The rebels dispersed to their respective transports, and Jewel walked back through the fields to his keep to explain to Rhea and his brothers where they should not venture. He would also have to make plans for their safety if the overthrow failed. It was hard to think of anywhere in Sanghelios where his clan could hide if he did. Jewel, of course, would have whatever might come to him. It was at least anyone would expect of the shipmaster. Forerunner Dyson Sphere Onyx. Local date November 2552. Mendez had to give Halsey her due. Instead of making a fuss about the puncture in her leg, she just shut her mouth and gathered up the fragments of the cylinder. It didn't mean he was discovering a new respect for her, and that the tension between them would eventually turn to a lasting friendship. That kind of bullshit only happened in the movies. Mendez knew that the bottom line was they both had blood on their hands, and a lot of it wasn't of the decent type. Rules of engagement, or soldering variety. He had no idea why he didn't feel inclined to keep his opinions to himself any longer. Maybe he was the one whose goddamn frontal lobes weren't doing all the impulse suppression that they should. He watched Kelly, Fred, and Linda close ranks around Halsey and do the Spartan equivalent of fussing over her. Any ill effects yet, ma'am? Linda asked. Halsey twisted from the waist and hitched up her hem discreetly to take another look. Well, I think I'll find out pretty soon whether it was injecting me with something or taking a sample. One thing is certain, it won't be doing it again. Fred picked over the fragments of the cylinder in his palm. Mendez felt guilty about walking away from the search for Lucy, but he needed to know what the thing was, because all the systems on this artificial planet had been connected in some way. The Forerunners did seem to have a few godlike qualities, and one was purpose. They didn't create anything at random. I don't recognize any of the components, Fred said, but there's a piece of some spongy material here. It's saturated with blood. I think your assessment is it's taking samples is on the nail, Doctor. Halsey took a closer look at the piece. Now, if I run a blood test, I'm looking to check how someone is, who someone is, or what someone is. Perhaps it's trying to work out if we carry any infection. But if that was the case, it would try to take samples from everybody. What's the difference about me? Mendez didn't say any words. He was trying to recall what the cylinders had been doing for the first time they showed up. They seemed to hang around faces. Now, this one had taken a blood sample. If Halsey was correct, it had shown most interest in people who weren't wearing helmets. And then it seemed to want a second opinion on Halsey in particular. I think there's a really simple answer, Doctor, Mendez said. Me and Fred, we had something to eat. You have not eaten anything yet, have you? Halsey paused for a moment and then shut her eyes. Glycogen metabolism. Damn it. It's just a first aid monitor. She did that humorless little I should know better smile. My guess is that it can detect exhaled ketones, so it checked whether I had blood sugar problems. I'm not sure why the Forerunners would care about that, but scans make sense if you're trying to keep out a pathogen. Well, terrific, Mendez said, and strode back down the passage. We can forget all about it until it bills us. How are we doing, people? Tom and Olivia were still working their way back and forth across the controls of the entrance lobby. He could hear the murmur of conversation from deep inside the passage as Mark and Ash examined the flagstone floor. Fred walked up behind him. Chief, we need to split up and carry on with the recon. Worst case scenario is that it takes us weeks to work out where we are and find some structure that maybe makes more sense. I suggest we leave Dr. Halsey here with Kelly in case Lucy comes back the same way she went in, and the rest of us can move on. It was a perfectly sensible command decision. Mendez nodded, but Fred cocked his head to one side. I wouldn't dream of abandoning her, Chief. Never thought you would, Lieutenant. Mendez never needed to see a Spartan's face to work out what was going on in their heads. It was all about the body language. A split-second delay, the set of their shoulders, or 100 other minute details that helped him gauge their reaction. Mendez watched Fred talking to the rest of the Spartan Threes, but did not spot the slightest hesitation as they broke off from what they were doing to resume their patrols. I trained him right, or at least I can say that. Mendez passed Halsey on the way out of the tower and nodded at Kelly. If Lucy comes back, then you damn well sit on her if you have to. But don't let her wander off again. Understood, Chief. Kelly took off her helmet and adjusted her earpiece, and then, just for the record, I'm placing my bets on it, being some seriously weird trans-dimensional crap. I bet that's what Einstein said. Kelly managed to smile. She strikes me as an unlikable sort, an unkillable sort. Yeah, she's a survivor. Mendez would always take facts over feelings, but he also had that time-honored instinct that told him when one of his people was in trouble. Lucy was still around somewhere. He just knew it. But if there was such a thing as a worse Spartan to misplace, it was Lucy. The poor kid couldn't yell for help. Yeah, Halsey had gotten that right again. Lucy shouldn't have been serving on the front lines. But what the hell was she supposed to do? He couldn't spare a single Spartan anyway, and the cruelest thing he could have done to Lucy was separate her from the only family she'd ever had, or had left. He wasn't prepared to ship her out to some psychiatric rehab unit where she'd just be injected and analyzed and discussed by a bunch of strangers all pretty much like Halsey, treating her as a fascinating puzzle to be solved. She'd had enough of that garbage by now. Do you suppose John's made it? Kelly asked. It was right out of the blue. That meant it had been on her mind for some time, and she couldn't keep it battened down any longer. And the others? Of course he has, Halsey said. She was setting up a camp in the entrance lobby, unpacking the contents of her bag and laying it all out, including the electronics. He was always the luckiest of you all, and the most bloody-minded. Mendez supposed that was attacked in Halsey's kind of way. She hadn't said that John was the very best of the Spartan Twos, and that she'd known he was a natural leader from the first time she met him, at 6 years old. If she'd blurted that out, though, Kelly would have taken it without offense, because Halsey was now the nearest thing she'd ever have to a mom. Kids still loved even the most abusive parents. And you set their paths, their expectations, treat a kid as the chosen one, or as the biggest disappointment, and he'll live up or down to those ideals. Problem, Chief? Halsey asked. Mendez just took her sidearm from his belt, checked the safety in the clip, and handed it back to her. You sure you can still use this? If not, Kelly can bring you up to speed. I can cope. I did the qualifier a couple of years ago. Good. He took out a couple of his ration bars as well. The cylinder must have been worried about her starving, so he'd take this as a warning. Make each of these last a day. It'll be easier than you think. Halsey looked him in the eyes like a kicked dog, as if she couldn't understand why he was getting more acid with her. He wondered how long she'd spent rehearsing that look until she got the appearance of sincerity just right. Because I've been here for 20-odd years, churning out more Spartans for the meat grinder, that's why. I've had a lot of time to think about it. But it still didn't make me a better person. I went and did it all over again, more or less. Thank you, Chief. Halsey went back to examining the broken cylinder. When we find Lucy, would you like me to check her over? Mendez searched for an ulterior motive. I'll ask her. He had to jog to catch up with the Spartans. They were already 100 meters west of the tower, spread out in a wedge formation. He could see Fred and Linda scanning the ground as they walked over it, probably taking advantage of the full range of sensors that Mjolnir helmets had. The Spartan 3s didn't have most of those extra bits in their SPI armor, and they couldn't even upgrade their kit via software. It made a big difference. Mendez tapped on his radio. What is it, Lieutenant? Thought we could see some thermal variation, Fred said. Straight lines, might be tunnels. You know how the Forerunners love their underground facilities. When we get back to the base, slap in a request for ground-penetrating radar for these lids, will you, Chief? You want a soda vending machine, too? Got that already, sort of. Mendez was now far enough from the towers to look back and get a sense of the scale. He'd assumed Lucy had gone through. She might well have gone down. They were back in the open grassland, with nothing else in sight except trees and vegetation now. Fred started jogging, pulling ahead of the others. He was definitely following a trail. Mendez could see him looking down every few meters as he went. and then he broke into a run. This was always the moment when Mendez fully appreciated just how different the Spartan 2s were from regular soldiers, and even from Spartan 3s. He had seen it 100, even 1,000 times, but it was still sobering to watch humans in power-assisted suits accelerate to nearly 60 kilometers an hour and keep running. Mark, Olivia, and Ash hung back to wait for Mendez, and Tom carried on, starting to fall behind Linda. Well, Ash said, if we haven't got wheels, that's one sure way to cover some ground, isn't it? He put his hand on Mendez's shoulder. Maybe it was an animal Lucy heard down there, Chief. A real rabbit hole stuff. Let's hope rabbits are good eating. Mendez kept walking, wondering why he had coped with all of the crap he'd done for Halsey, and all of the other crap that he couldn't blame on her at all, but found it hard to accept one Spartan 3 going missing out of the hundreds who had been killed. The 3s were cheap and disposable, intended for suicide missions that were beneath the Spartan 2s and beyond the ODSTs. He'd accepted that, to his everlasting shame. Why now? Why was he losing his detachment now? Because she can't scream. Because I put her in that position. Because in the straw that'll break the camel's back. Now that's more like it. Fred's voice came over the radio and steered Mendez away from the brink. We've definitely been out of town. Transmit an image, Lieutenant. It's going to take us a while to catch up to you. Mark seemed to be getting something in his HUD. He'd found buildings. He stopped and took off his helmet, offering it to Mendez. I want you to take a look, Chief. Mendez tilted the helmet and glanced at the image that now filled the HUD, a cluster of silvery gray, almost featureless multi-stories in the same architectural style as towers. No signs of life, but let's not take that for granted, Fred said. Check it out. Mendez allowed himself a little bit of relief. This was, as Fred had said, much more like it. A bunker had to have shelters, kitchens, and an infirmary. All of the trappings of normal life. Now they at least had a base to operate from. It was another problem that was going to be solved. Hang in there, Lucy. We'll put the pieces together and work out where you went. There was every chance they'd be here for a very long time. And if Halsey was right, then they might be the last sentient life left in the entire galaxy. No amount of luck could save John from a halo array firing, or save her own daughter either. Halsey had taken an awful big gamble to save just 3 of her Spartans. He understood. Now, it was his turn to atone. It's times like this that I miss that pelican, Fred said. Better find a high observation point. An aerial view of the complex would have been useful. For once, it was a toss-up between working their way through town and assessing the layout, or just clearing the place building by building. Mendez trudged on, realizing just how much ground a Spartan could cover at speed. He could feel the sweat trickling down his back as he tried to keep up with a respectable pace. But he wasn't a Spartan. He wasn't 20 any longer. He resisted the temptation to break into a jog. I'm 60. They're 20, 30, 40-odd years younger and genetically enhanced. I've got a right to be the last across the line. Mark kept up with him, either to keep him company or spare his embarrassment. He was a nice kid. You could do with a night's sleep, he said. We all could. Won't make me any younger or faster, Mendez grunted. Don't give me that old man BS, Chief. It was the doors that kept Mendez going at a brisk walk. He caught a glimpse of them and headed up the elegant building. The first truly recognizable ones that he'd seen here. Doors meant to be walked through, complete with ornate lintels and frames. He approached the nearest one, alert for more of whatever Lucy had gone chasing. The Spartans were already here, waiting as if they thought it was discourteous to start without them. Fred gestured to Linda and the others to stack outside of the door, and then he nodded to Mendez. Okay, Chief, in we go. chapter 9 will be next time. We're definitely halfway through the book now. And, well, it's not entirely true. We're on page 208. And this book does not have the appendages section with all of the computer comms that the other book had. So we'll finish this. We got 456 pages. We're at 208, so we're 448 pages short. 248 pages short of the end goal. So I'd say we're about, let's see, it took us 4 episodes to read 200. Yeah, so this would probably be a 9-episode book, I'm thinking. 1 episode bigger than the last book. But, good stuff. Good stuff. I'm enjoying it so far. I wanted to make I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee in a minute and use the restroom and reboot, and we'll start the next fun part of the stream, which is the gaming portion. I want to touch basis on how I feel about this so far. A lot of people warned me about this book. A lot of people said that they spend a fair amount of time criticizing and painting Halsey as a war criminal, and making her look and feel not great to the reader. They paint a different perspective of her. So far, I see that. But I want to say that the author does a really great job of depicting Halsey, in my opinion, as something other than. They're not forcing you to reconcile. I don't feel like they're forcing us to reconcile that she is a war criminal. I feel like they're pointing that out in this book in a very, very different way than the other books that we have read. They are definitely framing Catherine Halsey in a different light. But what I would say is that they're framing her in this light from the perspective of people. People like Osmond. People like Ackerson and Parangoski. And then you see them from the perspective of people like Mendez. So you're experiencing the decay, the fallout, the psyche of all of these people in this book, I feel like, coming together differently. And their perspective of the universe, the war, the end, and then of course the beginning is all different. A lot of these people, in Mendez's case, he was there at the beginning and he assisted Halsey in starting the program, and then he compromised himself in some way to continue the program, knowing that there was nobody better and that he would have to take it on. It's really interesting to me. I can't wait to see how they continue to paint her differently. I don't feel like the way that they've written Halsey in this book or with this author has really tarnished her at all, contrary to what most people believe. So far, I feel like this has been expansive. We've gotten views into the mind of Halsey from a different perspective that I think are contributive. The fact that she did all of the things that she did to this point, and then she is thoughtful enough now to absorb that and debrief that, to think about that in a different, more enlightened way, shows to me growth beyond herself. Maybe. It's something to think about. More to come. Let me see. Let me check. Let me catch up with what has happened in the last 2 hours. Thank you, Insulation00, for the Tier 3 sub. Resubscribed for Tier 3 for 16 months in a row. Here's the heart, man. You are the best. I can't say thank you enough. I'm so unworthy of all of the love that you guys give me. And thank you for Artius for the follow 29 minutes ago. Welcome to the awesome. And thank you so much for the time. Happy birthday, Sashi. I'm glad you had a birthday.
Let's see here. You got this, John. Thank you. Thank you, Fox. I appreciate you. Hope I didn't stumble too much today. BB is the new book. BB is such an interesting. BB is in the new book. Okay. BB is such an interesting character. I'm working on a Hosley cosplay for HCS. Here's hoping my health holds. Oh my god, I would love that. Just to spend time with you again, to be Chief and Halsey. Yeah, and you, just to see you. I'm so grateful. You know, my hands feel great. Thanks. Let's see, what else did I miss? Okay, Zero says hi. Good afternoon, Nikki. Hi. BB is Halsey's hater. Okay, for a good reason. Given his donor, absolutely. Are you talking about BB's brain? BB's original personality was not friends with Halsey, I'm assuming? Karen Travis does go heavily into Halsey as the war criminal rhetoric. Yep, again, I was kind of sort of talking about that. Much as popcorn in the lurk zone. Thanks for the lurk. I have to make a lurk command. I will work on that. Let me write that down on my thing. I like the content, brother. Thank you so much, Artias, for the content. I hope you continue to enjoy it. I hope you're still here. Halsey isn't bad. Oni is worse than her. I agree with you, Kevin. I love that line by Buran. Yeah, it's actually a Buran, B-U-R-A-N, like the shuttle from Russia. It was an interesting choice of a name. Halsey is a realist and a smart one. She's a little cold. Very reasoned thought on Halsey's portrayal so far. I'd be interested to see how your opinion evolves as you continue through the trilogy. Yeah, that's fair. He was a scientist on the Spartan program who became wrought with guilty over the program and committed suicide. Okay, gotcha. That's who BB was a scientist who committed suicide, and then they turned his brain into black box. It's interesting. I'd be really interested in hearing more about that. That's something I didn't know. I'm sure it'll come around. I think mainly Mortal Dictata. The last book does it the most harm, but that's it. That's all I will say. I don't want to spoil it. Well, I appreciate you for that. Here's what I got. We're waiting on Lord Adam to populate in the YouTube and say hi and tell us about reading the book. That's going to happen any moment, but in the meantime, I'm going to go refill the cup, and then when I come back, we'll talk a little bit more and sit down. I love Halsey's character a lot. I have a lot to say on this. I'll be right back. I'm going to go use the restroom and come back to you guys. Stay awesome. 9 viewers on Twitch right now. Thank you so much. 1,039 follows now after Artius. Artice. Yeah, Book Daddy. Yes, exactly. Thank you. 100. Sorry. I can't wrap my head around the fact that we're at 1,000 plus followers. 1,038 on our way to 1,200. 44 subs now on the way to 50. Our stretch goal for the month now is 100, which is 10% of our followership base. And I think that's a good number. I hope. All right, guys, give me a second. I'll be right back. You guys are the best. Stay awesome with me, and I'll see you in just a minute. Well deserved. Yeah, it's hard work, man, but I don't know. I don't feel like I deserve it some days. Anyway, we'll talk about this more. Give me a minute. And I'll be in the Discord when I come back. Alright, and we're back. Hi, guys. Okay, what did I miss? Just jump from 9 to 30. Welcome to the new... Yeah, hey guys. Thanks for stopping by. This is the normal group of viewers. These guys always show up right about the end of the reading. In the meantime, enjoy his chair and feel free to introduce yourselves. Yeah, definitely chat with us. Talk to us about whatever you got going on. Tell us about your day. We should make him a pillow for his chair. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, it's nice to have a inflow of viewers who come by. I feel like we get this about twice in the stream. We get this right now, and then we get this about a half an hour before the end of the stream. We'll get an influx of a bunch of other people, too. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Awesome. Thanks for being part of it with us. We appreciate you. We just appear to be coming back from an ad break as well, which is super helpful because then we don't have to worry about the ad break. It makes me the huge happy. Let's see. Huzzah. Yeah, right? I actually wanted to touch with you, Zero, a little bit on Mendez. I think his character is the one that does the most changing, that we're really, Spartan John body pillow to take his spot when he's getting coffee. Boy, I don't know about that. Spartan John body pillow? It'd have to be like, if you were to make a Spartan John, a sock John, oh god. If you were to make a Spartan John body pillow, it would have to be, it'd have to be like, I'd have to be buff on the top, and then get really skinny, and then have some, like, pretty buff legs. So it'd have to be, like, an actual, like, man-shaped pillow. You know, like a, maybe like a gingerbread man, like a gingerbread John, maybe, except it's a pillow. But you'd have to make it lumpy, so you could, like, fill it with some soft things, but then you'd have to put lumps in it, because I'm a lumpy person, you know, I'm not just a bag of softness. Speaking, Insulation 00 dropping in the chat. What's up, buddy?
Hey, bud, how you doing?
We're doing okay. You enjoying the story so far?
No. Did.
Yeah. What are you breaking?
Everything all at once.
I believe it. Yeah, I think that Mendez is the character I'm most interested in about in this story right now, because his psychological profile is the one that they're really messing with, right?
Yeah. Obviously, I've got a series where I haven't done anything on it for a very, very long time, but I do have a series where I kind of dive into biographies of different characters, and I'm bringing it back because a couple of my other long-running series are finishing because there's no new lore to go for.
Sure.
So I want to bring that series back, and I've already done dives into Fred, Kurt, Halsey, but I've got plans. I want to do Johnson, of course, but I've got plans to do Mendez, Hood, Linda, Kelly, and some more nuanced characters that aren't immensely. They're not immensely pronounced,
right?
In wider lore, but have quite far-reaching influence to a lot of the narrative.
Okay.
So yeah, that'll be fun.
I fiddled around with the sound a little, guys, so if you're having a hard time hearing him, let me know. He's really loud in my ear, so I didn't want him to over... So let me know if it's better.
It might be my microphone. My microphone was on max because I was doing some voice acting earlier. So,
I mean, that's fair. I just know that you're like, I've got you turned down to 80 in the Discord, and you are like louder than probably half of the rest of the people. I'm not upset about it. I'm just letting the stream know that if you're a little loud, I turned you down some, so I want to tune you in so you're obviously hearable.
okay.
It's
All right,
important.
no worries.
But yeah, no, it's interesting to me because thanks, Andy. It's interesting to me because the the like I said, some of the characters like Mendez, we meet him, he's younger, he like is very military, he has his own opinions, but he's seasoned enough that he knows not to share them. He is loyal to the cause and loyal to Halsey and her plans. And then after the first Spartans are gone, and then he gets this recruitment to train the new Spartans with Ackerson, and I don't remember now if he bucked that theory or bucked that trend on purpose, like if he provided any like pushback because of the type of children that they were using in the next set. I can't remember if he did or not. But, then to have this really interesting moment where they're lost in this place and they have this argument where Halsey is like, hey, what the hell, man? And he's like, you can tell that he sort of like gets caught with his pants down right there because he should have known better. But he did keep her as a frontline asset, knowing that she was, knowing that she had all of these disabilities beyond her improvements. And I think that that's a really interesting thing to sort of play with, because you're like, we have all of these superhuman Spartans that we've made that are like all of this thing, and then we just gave this one a disability that's unreparable.
Yeah.
It's an interesting place to kind of play with humanity in a little more different way, I think. And then, like I said, to really compromise this, like, until I was reading this book, I had Mendez in this place where I was like, he's the kind of guy, if he was in charge of us when we went through the military, you have this respect at the end. You have this pride. You have this, like, God, that guy was such an asshole in training. Like, he expected everything that was impossible from me. And then at the end of it, I became this thing that was greater because of it. And because of that and the achievement, I now have this respect and this camaraderie with this person that I would have never had because of how much I thought that it was hate that drove this relationship in the beginning. Because you grow up, too, as a soldier living through this thing. So, so you're like, I'd follow this man to hell. And then you find him in 20 years, and he is not the same man that he was at all. And so, and he's tarnished and damaged and has made his choices all of this time as well. So it's a really interesting place to play, and I'm surprised that was something less covered. All the warnings were, well, you're going to hate it because you love Halsey, and Halsey has changed in this book so much because of the writer and how they choose to portray her. And like I said, I think that this is, if you consider this perspective from people like Osmond, who obviously didn't make it through the program, and then she was jettisoned into something else. Right? That's kind of the way that I feel about her. It was like, well, you weren't good enough to make it through the Spartan program, and so you were abandoned by the program, and somebody else was forced to kind of pick up the pieces, and that's kind of how she ends up where she is, I think. And so it's not... So to read her character and hear her perspective on it, and she's like, well, I fucking hate that bitch. And all of these... So, when you collect all of these perspectives and then see the way that they're portraying Halsey, it's definitely... I feel like this is definitely perspective driven by the people telling the story and not by the author, maybe. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, the wider rhetoric that was going on with Osmond, for example, is similar to a lot of the other Spartan washouts. So obviously, the augmentations for the Spartan 2s had a higher failure rate than any of the subsequent augmentation sets. And approximately half of them washed out. Now, by washout, that means everything from clinically dead through to just being too crippled and damaged from the augmentations to serve as an active role Spartan.
Right.
Now, despite the fact they had, I'm sure you recall in the Fall of Reach, they had like a burial. Effectively, they had a ceremonial burial. They jettisoned
the empty
canisters
pods.
of the dead.
Yeah, into the sun.
They were empty. There was no one inside of those pods. Every single Spartan who washed out and was too, particularly the ones who were clinically dead, were put into cryogenic storage in the hopes they could be revived at a later date. Now, Sarah Osman was crippled by the augmentation to a point where she had to go through therapy, a lot of corrective surgeries in order to fix what went wrong.
Right.
But because obviously the Office of Naval Intelligence Section 3 ran the Spartan program, and of course they'd invested so much time, energy, and resources into the raising of these soldiers, in spite of the fact that some of them would never actually see active duty in the same capacity as the more successfully augmented candidates. Only still went above and beyond to make sure that they still had their opportunity to serve, which is why, for example, Musa was a failed Spartan 2, and he's now the commander of the Spartan branch. He's the ranking officer of the Spartan branch in the current modern day the UNSC, and Osman became Paragoski's protege, and those are, they're not isolated incidents. Loads of different Spartans would have inevitably been given administrative, strategic, command, or otherwise roles, as well as some of them being rehabilitated to become active duty Spartans, as is the case with Red Team, the ones serving in Spirit of Fire.
Yeah, so of course they were all failed Spartans who were fixed and then sent out, right? Their team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but absolutely, I like Mendez's story and how it's changed over the time, because, like you say, he started as that hard ass Marine who managed to train the most legendary soldiers in history.
Yeah, exactly.
But over time, particularly since he became so entrenched and involved with the raising of the Spartan 3s. He's still a hard ass Marine, but he's almost softened to kind of almost a borderline fatherly position, which is something I don't think he was with the Spartan 2s. He still immensely respects the Spartan 2s. He still has, great loyalty to them. He still cares for them deeply. But there's something different. There's something different, fundamentally different, with Mendez's response to the Spartan 3s than there is to the Spartan 2s, and it's wonderful seeing that character develop over time.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like I said, this is this book. There's another little thing that I don't have a problem with it, but it's cumbersome, and that's that they're jumping between times. So, I feel like all of this is happening at the same time, but they differentiate the fact that the people on the Shield world are still a year behind the people in the regular world. And I'm assuming that's because of the temporal disconnect between space and time in the two, I don't want to say universes, but two spaces that the planet exists separately.
You're bang on. Yeah, so the Shield world itself is contained within a slipspace rift, and that slipspace rift experiences time at a different rate to the rest of the universe, so to speak. So, what the stories are technically happening side by side simultaneously, but the time difference between things happening inside the Shield world and things happening outside of the Shield world is because time isn't flowing at a normal rate inside of the Shield world. So, I think it ends up translating to being like, I think the people inside the Shield world are in there for what they feel like is about 2 or 3 weeks. But when they come out, several months had passed.
Now, I guess the
So
question is, do they age at the slower rate in the Shield world as well? Are those
yeah,
days?
no, they age based whatever whatever temporal flow they're immersed in is how they age. So if you know that's something that the Forerunners mastered. I mean, they did that with the. You haven't read the Forerunner trilogy yet, but when you do,
No.
I mean that's a mind fuck considering what the Forerunners were capable of with time flow and stuff like that. But they managed to master entropy and the flow of time to a point where they could put a being like Primordia, for example,
Yeah.
inside of a time lock and then accelerate the time to force it to experience billions of years of entropy in seconds. So, but to the Primordial, if you were in its, you only ever see it from the outside perspective, from the Forerunners looking into the Primordial
Right.
as it experiences billions of years and just decays into dust. But if you were on the other side and you were inside the case with the Primordial,
Yeah.
you would experience billions of years. You would live billions, which must be eerie as hell, because bearing in mind, like this entire process outside took seconds, which means that for billions of years the Primordial was inside of the time lock and was staring at the beings that were forcing it to experience billions of years, and they didn't move because the temporal difference between the two of them is such that they were literally from the Primordial's perspective, they were just stood watching this thing decay for billions of years, which is just, that must be completely and utterly horrific. Have the creatures that put you in that circumstance,
Yeah.
just standing there looming over you as time just goes on and on and on and on. Yeah, messed up.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. That's another thing that you kind of got to wrap your head around a little bit, right? It's definitely interesting.
See, that's the thing. I mean, the Forerunner trilogy is a bit of a mindfuck because yeah, you're dealing with technology that we just don't. It just doesn't make sense to our sensibilities. And even with some of the more recent novels, particularly when they're starting to touch upon precursor technology, the way they describe it, there is no way to make sense of what they're explaining and describing, because they're purposefully not describing it, making it really like a kind of a generic or a really like esoteric explanation. Yeah, to enforce the fact that we just don't understand the fundamentals of what this technology or what this circumstance is based upon, because it's so far in advance of us that we just have no point of reference or bearing for it.
It's interesting. I also don't like that they write at the beginning of every chapter, there's like a PR bulletin that, like, a piece of news that you read, it's like a quote, it's like a quotable, and I almost feel like they should break those up into their own segments instead of putting them at the top of a chapter before the time. Like, it's kind of, I understand what they're doing. It's like the beginning of, it's like watching Starship Troopers, except in a book. That's like the little newsreel that they tell you as the time progresses through the story. But again, the way that they write it is sort of cumbersome and not brilliant.
Yeah. Time is weird soup.
Well, yeah, you almost have to be Whovian to understand what they're trying to tell you right here.
Yeah. Good soup.
How do you feel about that? Doctor Who? That's your country's science fiction coming to an end, I believe.
I've followed it for a brief time, but it's one of those franchises that doesn't quite grab me in the same way that certain other franchises do and have.
Wibbly wobbly.
I don't know what it is specific. I think it's because it plays a little too fast and loose with the sort of the fundamentals of
time and space,
of science fiction and stuff like that. Yeah, but like my great ethos in regards to well-written narratives, particularly in sci-fi, is that you have to get your facts in order first and then distort them at your leisure. And it feels like they didn't get their facts straight first. They feel like it feels like a lot of the narrative is just kind of, oh, we can do this because of that, and that, quote, wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff literally encapsulates the approach that they have to the narrative, and I like something with a little bit more structure. I think that's why it doesn't quite grab me the same way as other franchises do.
Isn't the TARDIS sort of like what the Forerunners are playing with, though? Time and relative dimension in space? Like, the TARDIS is an infinitely giant spaceship that is the size of a police box on the outside. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's pocket dimensions, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's not just the TARDIS. The TARDIS, I can get truck with it, but it's like there's a lot of other aspects of Doctor Who that are just tough. A little too fast and loose for me. Yeah.
You're not ready for the moon to be a spider egg. I got it.
Okay, that's it. I'm gonna sit over here and be quiet because my fingers don't want to spell correctly today. Fair enough.
That's fair. I would say love Doctor Who as well. Tom Baker, Fourth Doctor, is my favorite Doctor, in case anybody was asking. That's right. You got to go way back into time to find my favorite Doctor. He was the one that ate the jelly babies, which is the reason why I asked Installation 00 as soon as I met him if they were really, like, jelly babies. Because that's kind of weird. Just saying. I'm gonna play some Halo if you guys want to play. You're welcome to join on me. I see a Grim in the chat. Does Lena still have the scarf? Yes, she does, and I still have the TARDIS. It's in Jack's room. I'm thinking about getting rid of it.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's that TARDIS has been in our house for 15 years. I made it a long-ass time ago, and it takes up a ton of space. I built a half of a police box in my house and put a bookcase inside of it. It's got a light on the top. It's pretty damn cool. Like, we loved it. We loved it a lot. Now it's big and cumbersome. Does anybody want to buy a TARDIS? Nice little bit of yes there, Martin. Nice job. It's Delta Arena, by the way. I see you, Grim. It's nice to, oh, and I got a Krampus in my party as well. Hi, Krampus.
Gotta do a bit of yes every now and then.
Dude, yes is the best. Owner of a Lonely Heart.
Waitman.
Hey, Lisa, how's it going? If I had space for it, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. Yeah, I mean, I'd give it to you for free. I have a recording booth close enough to a TARDIS. Fox, you could record in my TARDIS, probably. It's, I'll take a picture of it and post it. It used to be in front of my bedroom door, and people thought that I should cut a hole in the back of the case so that I could use it as my bedroom door. But, we didn't do that. We just moved it around. We're doing good, Lisa. Thanks for stopping by and being awesome with us. What's up, Grim?
I will be joining here shortly. I'm just doing a bounty on Warfare at the moment.
Of course you are. Oh, wow. Look at the, I doubt that. The space needs to be a certain size or it sounds boxy. Yeah, you're probably right. It might be boxy inside. I don't know. It could be a real TARDIS for all you know. You could walk in the front door and immediately be in
a different place.
Like, walk down a flight of stairs into a control room and be like, I thought this was a bookshelf. No.
Foam all in the inside.
I don't know. I could literally be the Doctor, and you would never know. Like, share, and subscribe, by the way, if you're interested in any of this tomfoolery or shenanigans. Hey, my microphone is still auto-tuning itself down at different periods. I can't seem to figure out how to stop it since I upgraded my PC.
It's a naughty.
I've manipulated every single setting I could possibly find to manipulate
You sound okay at the moment, but is that because
so if I get up really close like this and I go blah 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 blah, but see it automatically just turned down to 82% in the microphone settings. So Windows is like
it's actively keeping you at a certain volume.
Yeah, it's doing something. And I always have to, like, keep it up and drag it back to 100 to make sure that I stay at the best volume. Everybody hasn't really complained about it being crazy, but I do see that it's still doing it, and that's outstandingly frustrating. We're gonna shoot some people on Delta, by the way, right away. So you're welcome to join in if you like. I'm gonna stand over here and stretch for a second. You guys can't, unfortunately.
Zero can't say naughty. I have goosebumps now.
Oh, naughty.
Oh, very naughty.
I love. I've actually turned my American Siri into a British Siri because
That just shows me that Nikki is being very naughty. Stop.
she is she's better now. Oh, STAHP. That's we used to mess with my wife about that. I sent you a message. Okay, I will look at it, Lisa. We used to make fun of my wife because once upon a time there was this meme on Facebook. This was way back in the before time. And it was like a moose or like a giant deer that had like fallen in the water. And then it was like boats. The meme was it was yelling at a boat like boat stop, like I want you to stop and save me. Anyway, the boat was spelled. I want to say it was spelled normally, but then stop was spelled STAHP, which I think was hilarious. Stap. So every once in a while I mess with my wife and she like tells me I'm terrible. Kind of like that. It all works out in the end. And then this evening I have to take Jack to a aviation thing. There's a high school program in Gig Harbor where they're partnering with the local aviation school to possibly get these kids flight experience and private pilot stuff. I was talking about a little at the beginning of the stream. And my son, because I'm a pilot, has decided that he may want to actually experience that and maybe be a pilot too. So I'm going to take him to that. Yeah, I'm going to take him to that. It's an hour this evening.
I need to hurry my ass up and become like a millionaire, and then I'll buy a private jet, and then I'll hire your ass to be my pilot.
Oh, see, then yeah, that's fun. We could do a lot of fun stuff.
Flying across the world like I'm fucking Ray Reddington.
I mean, I don't know that gas bill though.
It's his money. Let him waste his money.
Well, that's true. It is his money, and I don't mind him wasting it on me. But it's a large amount of Oh fuck! Of course I did that.
Fuck you, Jack.
Oh, I'm getting chipped
And this
from
scenario also involves smuggling for money. Well, if I'm going for Ray Reddington, yeah, I
more
see
expensive
why not.
fedora for that. Where in the world is?
Bought one actually.
I have two fedoras in my garage, or not in my
Why am I
garage.
I'm the only one that has kills?
Yeah, I'm it's my warm-up match. I've been reading all morning, reading and
It's
killing.
my first one too.
Oh, see, well, it's okay. I got to kill now. I got to kill now. Hold on to your horses. It'll be all right. There's two on my X. You'll need an expensive. Already has an expensive fedora. Do you guys like the? You guys enjoy the fact that we didn't read anything naughty today? Just for the record, there was no naughtiness experienced in the awesome today.
I imagine Nikki was a little bit disappointed there wasn't any naughtiness being read, but I think me just saying what I was saying naughty, I think was pretty much fulfilled that quota today.
Right. Something about the British accent is just great.
But more precise and calculated.
Well, except when you say aluminum.
You mean aluminium?
Yeah, that's what I said. I said aluminum. That's what I said.
No, aluminium.
Or you saying "oh behave"? Oh behave. It's very very Austin Powers.
Or you saying "oh behave"? Oh behave.
Oh Leviosa.
Dot.
Or don't. I can most definitely be threatened with a good time.
Ooh, that guy just ate all of those bullets. I feel like they made this gun better but I also feel like they made it worse. Or something. I can't quite place
Just
it.
raise bottle at 0. Do I need to like hiss like a cat and run away?
Meow. He just runs back into his hole.
With my back arched,
Oh.
my tail like
Between his legs.
getting poofy.
How's Nat?
It's good. Yeah.
Good.
It's good.
Good. I haven't heard, so.
Yeah, we're doing our thing and yeah, doing the grind, the daily grind, and yeah, getting on.
Right here, Kevin. Right here.
There we go.
Keep your eyes open, John. Jesus Christ.
Hey, you saved me. Good job. So, any big plans? How's your armor coming along?
Are we talking cosplay or are we talking real?
Both. Either.
So cosplay, I'm just about to start making progress on it again because I've more or less freed up my schedule now.
Nice.
And as far as the real stuff's concerned, I am going to traveling to Bath, a town not too far from me, next month in order to talk to one of the guys of the materials group who's making the real life marine armor in metal.
Nice.
So I'll be going to do that. I'm just waiting today, in fact, to receive the final 3D models for the real ODST helmet. And then I'll
Nice.
put that on the print and start prototyping and doing incredible stuff there. And the actual exo frame side of stuff, I have all the files on the pen drive at the moment and are waiting to be loaded up into the printer and starting down that line as well. So yeah,
Nice.
cosplay is on its way again, but the big things like
What
real
am I at?
Mjolnir and everything, it's yeah, that's a completely different ball game altogether.
Still
that we are
working on
making
it,
a
huh?
lot of headway on. Yeah.
Did we end up changing the skeleton, the underskeleton, or are we still going with what we were working on before? Like, you know, I know you were talking about that.
So are we talking about like the really heavy duty exo
Yeah.
frame that that Maker was developing? back in the-
Correct. Yeah, and are we
no. So unfortunately,
changing
unfortunately,
gears?
yeah, we're gonna have to change gears. I mean, mainly because obviously Maker's, bless him, he's
Yeah.
sort of stood under with university work and everything, and of course we do. I never got an answer back as to whether or not there were certain
the
terms
proprietary
of
rights
conflict
because of the
interest.
school.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So unfortunately, because I got no
Funny.
final word, I
Yeah,
progress can't sort of
yeah.
stall indefinitely. So I've had to pivot and make some adjustments. So yeah, going on a different exo frame,
What on me?
slightly different direction. But
I'm excited to
But,
see. Have we got a design in a video? Are we building parts? Like, I know we're, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we've already got a fully fleshed out leg
Nice.
frame, which can carry all the weight that is necessary, as well as granting the full range of motion that we require, including the ankle, which I know that is a big thing for you.
Yeah.
To be able to implement that into your cosplay. And of course, that's a big aspect of Project Mjolnir, Project ODST, Project SPI, and Project Marine, as we've now diversified to all four. That is a big statue of those projects in being able to reverse engineer everything that we do and make it available to a wider audience. So yeah, there's good stuff.
I'm so
going
excited.
on. And of course, we're having to pivot for unfortunately for the heads display because Microsoft have officially
HoloLens is
closed shop on the HoloLens. There's no continued support for it. So heads-up display systems for Mjolnir like I said, there's no continued support. So if bugs become apparent, there won't be any fixes for it. It'll have to be
Freaking A.
all proprietary work, or we'll have to pivot over onto a different platform entirely, which is probably what we're going to do. and move to a completely different augmented reality or mixed reality
So
headset.
this
And
is
go from there.
this is where. I mean, obviously, eventually you want to put that. I suppose eventually you want to put that shit on the inside of the helmet, like on the inside of the visor itself,
Physically
right?
on the inside of the bike itself, yeah. And I'm already exploring ways to make that happen. Yeah, go on.
Well, I was gonna say at the beginning, I think that another direction. There's a set of glasses that I like out there that have like all of the HoloLens on the inside of the glasses. Like it's like right now it's like DOS. It looks like DOS. It's like green text that will appear like in the corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's not dissimilar from Mjolnir's BIOS, to be fair. And
Right.
They definitely work with the marine stuff because they have a little green eyepiece, don't they?
Right, exactly. And so I was thinking about that set of glasses, but I was thinking about if you paired a set of glasses like that with a set of glasses like the Meta glasses, then you could just issue a guy this at the beginning, and it literally would not matter. You know, like the base model could be this. Like every soldier could have this. And then you would have the video, and you would have the battle data, the BDA, the battle data assessment information available to you. You could have a map. You could have all of that right on a pair of glasses. Obviously.
Yeah, but I mean that's lore accurate for Halo Universe. The glasses that Johnson is wearing in Contact Harvest are heads-up display goggles. They're shooter's glasses that have a heads-up display built into them.
Yeah.
Dr. Halsey's glasses have retinal scanners and displays built into them that beam text directly onto our retinas. So
Yes.
yeah, that's lore accurate. And of course, yeah, then we'd be able to effectively have a singular platform that's low profile enough to be worn inside of the helmet. And effectively, like we could almost make it that you put the glasses on, and then if you whack the marine bucket on, you boot up marine HUD BIOS, and it would display things like like the marines, like the marine HUD would.
Yep.
And then when you whip that marine bucket off and you whack on the ODST one, it boots up the ODST visor, and then
So it'd just be smart
you whack
enough.
on the Mjolnir. It would just it would switch actively between HUD modes. Yeah, we can totally do something like that.
That's interesting.
And I am looking at different mixed reality and augmented reality headsets out there, and I'm exploring sponsorship opportunities to try to get hands on the hardware so we can start to develop that. But
well, and then a big
good
thing
takes
is,
time.
can you put Cortana back into it? Can you take the Cortana suite that you were working with and then import that into whatever the new thing is?
It's possible. It's not. Yes, it's not outside of the boundaries of possibility. It would probably be a case of putting Cortana,
Going to Sniper.
loading Cortana into a computer system that would talk to the heads-up display, and it can kind of as like a peripheral,
Yes.
as opposed to an integrated device. But yeah, it's possible. I mean, like I said, that unfortunately, the Cortana that was
Sniper's
in
down.
the HoloLens is the Jen Taylor voiced
Yes. The actual
AI
Cortana.
system. So it's actually Cortana, yeah. But I see no reason why we couldn't implement an AI that could help out and simply have Cortana's voice. I mean, with AI voice cloning and things like that that we've got nowadays.
I'm down
that's
behind
most definitely a possibility. It's just whether or not it would encroach upon.
Right.
I wouldn't want to encroach upon like Jen Taylor's. It's her.
Yeah.
So it's her property. It's her likeness. I wouldn't want to necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be fine for like a prototype. It'd be fine for like just something that's a technical demonstration. But I wouldn't be able to market that. I wouldn't want to market that because that would be, I would be selling something with her likeness and her not profiting from it, and that's not fair. That's
That's not
acceptable.
cool. Yeah. No, I got you.
But on that topic, would it not then be like if you're marketing it, you won't necessarily be always selling it with mass achievement or Cortana, you could use other voices that have.
Oh, if I was actually going to be marking it as like a if I was going to market it as a product, I would simply replace
Oh, fuck! One on me.
replace the Cortana AI assistant with a 00 AI assistant. So you would have me in your heads-up display or as an AI assistant that would talk to you in my
Oh,
in the
sexy voice.
yeah, and then tell you that you're naughty and things like that. Yeah,
That would be interesting and hilarious at the same time.
I would honestly pay good money to have 00's voice as an AI, because when I'm with my Echo Dot, what I tried to do is I tried to make it more like BB from the Kilo 5 trilogy, because I like BB, and he's actually got a British accent. He's described as a British butler accent.
There's one behind you, Kevin.
And
He went. I think he went through the portal.
I think that's something that
Oh no, he's still there.
your voice would be very good as a stand-in for.
Mm.
So you could definitely pull off a good BB, and as I said,
Yeah.
I'd get money for it.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I'm consistently pleasantly surprised when I get people come to me and say, "Oh, hey, we want you to voice, this character," or "We want you to do this, that, and the other." That's kind of half the reason that I made a cameo page for me, because I get so many people say, "Oh, we like your voice and you do this, that, and the other. Can you just say this one little line for this, that, and the other that we're doing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine."
Oh, I'm down.
Just seemed like a logical way to kind of make that more widely available for people. So yeah, it's one of those strange things where I've just always considered that my voice is just my voice. It's just
One on ramp week.
nothing particularly special,
Big tower.
but since I've become a content creator,
Yeah.
people
It's
can
very
like, yeah, but you've got the right
popular
voice for it. And it's like, okay, maybe my voice isn't just a voice. It's something that people like. That's cool. What?
How did
People
he
find your
kill?
voice very soothing and like pay attention to,
Yeah. Sit down and pay attention.
pretty much, or they fall asleep to it even. That's why people
Sniper
don't do
at
that.
small tower.
Yeah, fuck you, Humpty.
So 00, how's the little one?
How's the?
Child?
One here on small tower still.
Offspring?
I've got two. They're both fine. Yeah, thank you.
That's good. Good to hear.
Oh, fuck you, Paul.
Sniper with overshielded big tower.
Sit down, stand up, and sit.
We have a very nice rich
Come,
voice.
boy.
Dude, his voice, that probably would not fly unless you paid for the use. Yeah, it's still talking about. Yeah, dude, Martin's voice is so nice. Like, it's one of my favorite voices to listen to. I'm not gonna lie to you, I do laugh sometimes.
Lullaby every single night.
Well, that's not true, but you could if you wanted to. I'm not gonna lie to you, I think that the only thing that I laugh sometimes at the way you pronounce words.
Right. Which ones?
Apart
from aluminum.
I'll have to come back to you on that. But every time I listen to one of your videos, I feel like there's always a word in there that makes me giggle that you say.
Like burger.
Say it again.
Burger.
Nah, that one's pretty normal. That one's pretty. You say burger pretty normal.
Yes. See, you think that's pretty normal. Here in the UK, that's a really abnormal way to say burger.
See, that seems pretty normal to me. Burger.
Like, British people are weirded out by the way I say burger, but American people seem okay with it.
It's pretty. It sounds pretty normal to me. Like, I'd like to go down and get a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
It's
burger.
It's a burger. Yeah. It's not,
As opposed to a burger.
I don't know. As opposed to a bugger, like bugger.
Burger. I want a burger.
Daddy, I want a cheeseburger. Are you giggling at? Are you giggling at my British impressions that are absolutely terrible?
Yeah. There's always something funny about Americans trying to do a British accent. It's always funny.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, and I'm terrible at it too.
the thing with England and English dialect is it's never really like, oh, like in England we think that burger is a strange pronunciation. It's not England as a whole, it's regions of England. So like down south in London area, that's a strange pronunciation. Up here towards the Midlands, that's just how we say it.
Yeah, I mean it's no different here. Like a lot of people, I think Martin knows now. He's been here. He knows that like Washington is its own country, basically. I mean it's a state,
fuck
but
you, Bon, I got your ass.
Well, pretty much any state in the U.S. is its own country. At that
yeah,
point.
they're giant, right?
Everywhere in the states is just different.
I mean,
Different
United,
cultures and whatnot clash with each other.
most states have just as much, if not more, land mass than the entirety of the UK. So that's not surprising.
No,
But
it's
if you think about
not.
it, in the UK, we have just as much dialect variation.
Traded it
just
rockets.
You know, even amongst native English speakers with no.
There's one going to rocks.
And yet, you know, we are less than like a tenth of the size.
It was my fault. Happy
I've
Thursday,
always
Strato.
found that-
Yeah, it's definitely, like I said, it's definitely interesting. Like when I go back and listen to my self-talk, I feel bad for you guys sometimes because being a Pacific Northwesterner, I'm like, oh my god, like I can't believe I sound like that. And then I hear the Canadian friends of mine, and they're like, oh gee, don't you know, very like Wisconsin and further north. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not so bad, thankfully. But I'm still bad, right? It's terrible.
It's meh. I've heard worse.
All I gotta say is keep your stick on the ice, bud. It's very Canadian.
I am indeed a Canadian. I've been confused as an American, even.
I see that a lot with Canadians being mistaken for Americans. There's podcasts I've been watching recently where they had a guest on and the host called them American and they were like, "Did you know I'm Canadian, right?"
They had Gaston. I thought he was only in a cartoon.
Gaston.
Sorry.
I will admit though.
You're welcome.
He just said, for me, it's how we say fur instead of for.
Fur.
See, I pronounce it as if it was spelled F-E-R. Fur.
Going for a coffee. For a coffee.
That would be for a coffee. Going for.
Yeah, going for a coffee.
For. It's
Going for a
for
coffee.
because look
Yeah,
the root word is or
Going
like the
for a
thing
coffee.
that you use to row your boat, right? So it's a long O sound, so it's for, like row, or not to be confused with roof, which is two O's in a row. Roof.
That's the one that gets me with Americans.
Unless it becomes plural, and then it is many roofs. Yeah, it's roof and roofs.
No, it's roof and roofs.
No, it's roof.
Yes.
Roof, like
Roof, roofs.
not to be confused with rough, which is R-U-F-F, and that's the sound a dog makes, or the way your mother likes it. But that's R-O-U-G-H,
Oh.
which is rough.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry. Rough, the way
The
your mother
fucking hell you
likes
say
it.
about my mother?
30 people right now are dying in their houses. Martin is upset. It was a joke, Martin. I'm sorry.
First time I suck off a Scottish accent. Oh no, Nicky. I'm Scottish and I can very easily slip into a Scottish accent.
I just beat that guy with the AR in the dick and then shot him in the face.
Nice.
If you hit a Spartan in the crotch with the butt of your rifle, his shields break. Oh, Achilles spine that douchebag. There you go.
Uh-oh.
That guy's dead
behind
too.
me. Damn it. Sniper on
Are
my
they a
axe.
green
Go.
tent? Where are they at? Oh, sniper.
You dare, I will die. Okay.
What on me? What on me? In the stairwell.
I will remain respectfully English.
Ah.
You make... Oh.
That's the
Yeah,
sound
that-
your mother likes, Trebek.
Yeah,
that-
I was.
Yeah,
I
Warhog.
wasn't-
Yeah, I saw it.
Fuck you, Turbo.
I heard it.
You were saying, Sashi?
During the reading of the book, I was laughing a lot at some of the pronunciations you had for some of the words.
Where are you
I
guys?
can't remember many off the top. I can't remember any ones
We're down. I
pop
just got
out on
conged.
top of my head, but yeah, some of the pronunciations you had were very funny, and they didn't really line up quite as well with
I swear
with
to
the
God, are
other
you
words,
can
which
you
I
guys
think is
hear
what
me?
throws you up a bit. 'Cause I think if I'm correct in saying a lot of
the
these
hell?
authors and a lot of the voice actors for the audiobooks, I think, are English. Based on the words that they're using in the writing.
Right, so
Cat's got a good point right there, John.
if I'm after your mom, we're gonna have troubles.
Oh.
Well, I'm happily married, so I'm not after anybody's mom at the moment. Right? I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. If my wife was to die, I probably would never remarry because she takes care of me in so many great ways. I don't think there's another person in the world that could do it. So I think your mom is safe, Martin. I think your mom is safe.
Oh,
Yes.
that was a beautiful throw. There, Krampus.
There's still two.
Can you guys
I
even
feel like
hear
there's
me?
still. No, this is the first time we've heard you say anything. Green tent, green tent.
Motherfucker, how can I turn you into paste?
Got him.
My husband is the descendant of William Wallace on his mom's side. So sometimes when he's
accent, oh, right.
particularly heated, he slips his Scottish accent. Oh, okay. Interesting.
I hail from the Royal Stuarts. I have direct bloodlines to King Robert the Bruce and Mary Queen of Scots.
How is why is he Robert the Bruce? Does he why how is he did he just like show up with his crown on and say, "I am the Bruce"?
It's a clan.
Pretty much.
It's a clan name. For example, my grandma's maiden name was Wilson. I am directly related to Mary, the Queen of Scots.
Wow.
Which,
Oh,
which
so
means-
we're distantly
Yeah.
connected there, you and me.
so somehow me and Martin are a good few.
A few
cousins
generations
on.
removed, but we have common blood. There you go.
Yeah.
Not to be
And,
confused
one
with
of my-
commoner blood.
I've still got the commoner blood.
Don't speak to me like peasant.
I have common blood, and me and Martin have common blood.
One of my
I
ex,
also
two of
have
my ex.
commoner blood.
Yeah, there's two on it.
And one of my next
break me like neck the nose.
one of my next door
Fuck
neighbors
you,
and old
Italian
school friend,
fucking
he
pasta
is
muncher.
directly related to King Bruce. So you've definitely got a lot of heritage up here. Some distant cousins.
Nice.
Indeed.
What the hell? It's ridiculous.
Well, that guy got fucking blasted.
Yeah, he caught a grenade and threw a grenade at the vehicle.
I got some cool things in my bloodline too. Like me. I'm here.
Ah, what do I do?
You didn't get it, people.
Oh God, did David Tennant join the chat just a second ago? Sounded like it.
Feels like it.
Yeah, aside from the Scottish in my blood, I've also got a lot of Irish.
You fight blue, that's shocking.
My
gonna park
mom's
this
maiden name
right
is
here,
an Irish
Krampus.
My
Oh, one
my
step past you.
dad's name is
Another one.
Irish, and my stepdad's name is Irish for that matter as well. So there's definitely a lot of Irish in my blood.
Ow. There's a guy in the corner.
I'm gonna
Right
park
after
this
the,
right here, and
right.
you just keep me covered.
I'm inbound.
There's one there, Krampus, still one.
Got him.
I think you're fine. Protect the turret.
That car is on its last legs.
Yep, that's all right. It'll live. It'll make it a little bit longer. Pinch him. They're right here. Two in here. Two. Pinch him. Three. Pinch him.
Sniper's almost up.
So I'm at sniper now.
So
Oh, fuck bags. God damn it.
someone I've known for the last like 25 years, their dad is
Oh, fuck, I fell
final,
down.
end of life care now.
Oh, no. Did
Yep.
you guys hear that Gene Hackman died?
Yeah, the woman that played Dawn from Buffy the Vampire Slayer died recently.
Oh, yeah, Michelle Trachtenberg. Yeah, but Gene Hackman died. Wow. That was really sad to hear that.
Indeed.
You know who Gene Hackman is, right?
It's ringing vague bells, but not a lot, really.
It does not ring a bell.
Wow. Gene Hackman played the Admiral on, in the movie, Behind Enemy Lines. He was the Admiral of the boat. He was the captain of the ship. He was the captain of the submarine on Crimson Tide.
And Lex Luthor.
He played Lex Luthor in the original Superman movies with, God, what was his name now? The guy that...
Reeve.
Christopher Reeves. That's there.
Yeah, the
Yep,
guy
that's
that
his
got
name.
paralyzed from
Yep.
horse accident.
Yep, Christopher Reeves. Let's see, what else? What other great... He was opposite of Will Smith in Enemy of the State. He was in that movie.
I'm sorry to tell you this, John, but Behind Enemy Lines was 4 years before I was born.
I bet you that makes you feel old.
God damn it. You hear that, chat? He's young.
He's young.
Bruce is a title. Yes, Strato. Bruce is a title. I'm assuming Bruce is a plot of land or something.
With
Damn,
the
he's
Scottish,
young-
their
he's
last
younger than I
names
am.
usually relate to their clan. So as far as I know, Bruce was the clan. Just as Wilson, which was my grandma's maiden name, was abbreviated from Muck Wilson, which is the clan name for Mary the Queen of Scots. So she was Mary Muck Wilson.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, you like my pronunciation of words you were saying. Do you have any words that you think are interesting? I just read them as normal as possible. I mean, there's a couple of them where I have to read. I'll, like, stop and read the word 2 or 3 times before I tell you what it is, just to make sure that I understand what the word is.
Yeah, it's just like the way Americans pronounce certain like vowels are different from how we pronounce them here in the UK, and it means that some of the words don't line up quite as cleanly. And I do find it funny sometimes. I can't remember any off the top of my head.
I mean, this comes from somebody who has wash your sister sauce on the shit that, you know.
Worcestershire.
Yeah, wash your sister. Wash your sister sauce.
In fact, if you
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
Yeah, there you go. That's
fuck's sake.
how it goes.
Worcestershire. Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
If you're gonna say it in a true American way, it's Worcestershire, like Grandpa's just said it.
We say Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire. That's like pretty much how we say Worcestershire.
Shosh.
Shosh.
The fuck is
Yeah,
shosh?
nobody says it correctly.
Nobody
Let's just
says it.
Worcestershire.
Everybody says it wrong.
Worcestershire sauce.
Everybody says it
Worcestershire
100%
sauce. That's the correct
wrong.
pronunciation. Drink deep, gentlemen.
That's what I
Continue.
said. Worcestershire sauce.
No, you didn't.
I will drink Worcestershire sauce.
That's disgusting.
I love that. I love that.
Worcestershire.
I love that. sauce.
Lord.
Yeah, you know, like that place that Frodo is from? The Worcestershire?
Shire. Yeah.
The Shire. I think that's probably what
Worcestershire.
I think we could probably blame Lord of the Rings for why Americans always get it wrong, because they've grown up with Lord of the Rings, so it's Shire, and it's spelled the same way, and they're like, oh, so it's Shire, so it's like Shropshire.
Or Leicester. I've heard of America pronounce Leicester. Leicestershire.
Oh,
What?
well, how did they get that from?
How's it spelled?
But there's no Shire in Leicester.
Hidden.
There, red top, and son of a bitch. I'm under fire.
How's the sword?
There was some American guys in the Warhammer Discord.
Redback.
A while back that they would pronounce it Shropshire for my local county.
Oh God! Did you leave or crash, Kevin?
What the fuck was that?
I don't know, but Kevin died.
The soundboard to 00.
How is the soundboard even working in this channel? It's not supposed to work in here. This is the one place it's not supposed to work, so people can't come in and bomb me with their bullshit when they join the channel and I'm live.
Perhaps it's limited to only people with moderate permissions, because I don't have access to the soundboard, but 00 does.
Okay, so it's
I think
0.
mod perms.
All right, well, I trust that he won't completely fuck us over with his sound.
I'm gonna click it every single time you die.
Oh, okay, I see.
Uh-oh, I'm in danger.
I'm in danger!
Not in a good way. Uh-oh, I just got surrounded by like 3 people.
When 0 joined the VC and his soundboard entrance thing went off, I was playing a video game and it absolutely scared the jeebus out of me.
Ah, go away! Fuckers. There's a guy above you there, Spartan.
Fuck!
How? Where did you come from, you fucking metabolic?
I got
shit?
stuck. Sounded just like that when I died, too. Like a squishy toy. Like the dogs were just playing with me. Oh, shit! I just died. I got backsmacked from where?
I got him.
I've definitely missed Krampus's string of insults going forward.
Damn it!
Turn into a fucking confetti, you fucking courageous bastard.
Dude, I was listening to a clip the other day from Krampus. It was the best. Somebody clipped him on Christmas saying, he's like, I wish you the utmost content. And I was like, oh my God. All you could hear was Salty Town from that. I know that Krampus was upset, but that's what he got out was, I wish you content. And I was like, oh my God, I'm glad somebody clipped this.
Okay, I'm gonna stop that now.
It's also how Krampus comes up with some very creative insults on the fly.
2 on purple top, purple top.
Go on.
Please soundboard irresponsibly.
Yes. Got on top of invis. Weak.
Oh no! Oh no!
That tracks, I'm dead. They're on the sword in the middle. That tracks, I make that sound all the time. Oh no! I love it.
No.
That was great!
Not great.
Was that soundboard?
Yeah, that's the soundboard.
Okay.
No, that was me. That was great!
Ah. Fuck you.
I got a present for
I'm
you.
waiting my mate,
Would you
Daddy.
like to get stabbed?
Emotional damage! Oh, fuck you.
Somebody wants to get stabbied in the heart.
I just got backstabbed. They got invis on top. Now don't come to use their
Smile on your face! All the time it wants me to stab you in your... Oh, I'm dead.
Oh, you sneaky
We
bastard.
lost. I'm so sad that we lost
You-
Kevin.
You know what? We need some of Krampus's milder combat lines. In the
Motherfucker, I'm gonna take this grenade and turn them
Krampus
into
doesn't
fucking
have
beans.
mild combat lines.
I said milder.
Installation
mild,
ooh-woo.
Oh yeah, we got
I'm
that
down.
one.
I have that one
Ooh.
all the time.
Got you, bud.
You just get to hear me say it, like, and that's better somehow.
Installation ubu.
Installation ooh-woo. See that? Yeah, see that golden, buttery, not nice voice? Ooh-woo. It's terrible. I have a question for you.
Somebody there, Kevin?
Yeah, there's one in here weak still.
One got on my corpse. Your teleporter.
Mine.
Mine.
Mine? Mine? Mine?
Mine.
Mine?
How do you
Mine?
not even lose
Mine.
the shield?
Mine?
Fucking,
Mine?
fucking
Mine?
extra large.
Mine? I'm dead.
Mine.
I got stabbed.
Oh,
Stabby, stabby.
Nick,
The
you should
fucking
laugh
stream
at
just become nothing but mime.
mine. They're stabbing us.
Jew. 2 on my X. Oh, one more. So,
Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy.
one more of you.
Ha! He's dead. I saved you. Stone. No! This is Kevin's fault because he disconnected.
100%. Agreed.
Kevin, no! Who sounds like a predator?
I would set an Ubu sound effect for my ringtone, but I have to use my phone at work, so.
Well, just download mine. Just have it go ooh woo. Spartan John says
Uber
ooh
Nick's
woo.
gonna make a cameo appearance on John's stream.
Is he really?
In the par char for an R.
Oh,
I
it would
do
be
that, but
it would
what
be
if-
crazy if he actually did come and just be on the stream, but he's streaming right now, which
Lame sauce.
lame sauce, Nick, lame sauce. But seriously, good luck, man. Enjoy your stream, cause I'm not a shitter. Lame sauce. Come be awesome with us. 10 to 2. Like, share, subscribe. All the things.
Shameless plug right now.
What? I gotta do it. Yeah. We got 30 people watching right now. If I don't put the plug out, somebody's not gonna click. And we got awesome
Fine.
to build, right? I mean, yeah, all of us. All of us together. Are you back,
Mine.
Kevin? Kevin is back.
I don't think I've ever consistently shielded on my streams.
I'm here.
Good. You've never consistently done what on your stream?
Jesus Christ!
That one is loud every time.
Kevin.
I've never consistently asked people to make sure
Don
they
the
follow
chest
me
and the helmet.
on my
Roger.
Oh,
Hold on.
chest and helmet.
I can cancel this. Yeah, what's up?
You remember what we talked with Kevin last week?
What did we talk about with Kevin last week?
This is not a jackhammer, it is a jackhammer.
Oh no! Oh god, no!
Jackhammer.
So okay, so the reason why this is coming up for everybody that wasn't here for this, all right? So Kevin, we were talking about personal injuries and some other silliness in the stream last week, and Kevin says that he decides that he wants to have an arm that's a robot arm, and I was like, but then what happens if your robot arm just and you can't control it, and you're in the middle of something personal with your robot arm? Maybe you're using the bathroom, or maybe you're starching socks. I'm just saying, whatever it is, your robot arm just decides to break your shit off. And then somehow it came to this other place where not only were we talking about that, but then I was like, or what happens if you're brushing your teeth and you just start punching your face with the robot arm? So Kevin said, if you have a robot face, it doesn't matter. So then we started talking about having a whole robot body. Yeah, it's like that.
Adept as
Then
mechanic is
somehow
energy
that-
intensive.
John's gonna whip out his shiny helmet.
Yeah, I gotta.
And then it somehow turned into the.
He's pulling his cock out!
Shit. Definitely not doing that this stream. Not saying it's not ever gonna happen, but it's not
Nah.
happening today. That's what I am saying.
That's safe for the
The devious laughter of a hinge head in the background.
Talking about eating a banana with a robot arm.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, no.
That's right. We're talking about eating a banana with a robot arm. That's right. Not brushing your teeth. I mean, it could happen if you're brushing your teeth too.
Right. I gotta run. I gotta get some stuff done.
Well, don't hurt yourself when
settle
you're don't hurt yourself when you're running.
Just put image in VC chat. That's definitely what that conversation is leading towards.
I shall be in approximately 15 minutes, maybe sooner. There was a commercial I saw that had a malfunctioning prosthetic with questionable movements. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. It wasn't a news broadcast. It could have been a news broadcast. Installation
some more
00
extreme versions
is
of
going to
that for
depart, and I'm sort of the sad about that. But hey, buddy, we gonna see you tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, go and go rest. Go have a great one. Are you gonna stop tracking my face?
No.
Here we go.
More than likely. Right. Take care, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, be
Later.
awesome, man. Have a good night. Thank you for stopping by.
Bye.
Heart for you.
Bye.
Always the heart for you. Also, today is Paxi Day, so be sure to leave a donut before the end of the day to fend off bad luck for the written. What? I've never even heard of this before.
Never.
It was probably a news broadcast.
Yeah, I put a picture in the VC chat with the image that pops to my mind when we start talking about robot arms and robot faces.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely not it. We were just literally talking about... Yeah, Kevin was right. We were talking... He refreshed us. We were talking about a banana. It's also International Polish Donut Day. First Thursday of Lent. And what... Really?
There's not so many International X Day now that a point where it doesn't matter anymore. It's like, oh, today's International Punch Yourself in the Face Day. Cool.
Please punch yourself in the face.
Tomorrow is the International Punch Your Friend in the Face.
No.
Oh.
Spartan John does not...
He has
in Spartan John does not...
robotic
use this.
face.
A robot face.
We should try that this year in Seattle.
Spartan John does not endorse punching people in the face.
Oh, speaking of robot arms and stuff, there is like actually functioning robot arms now being sent out. I was reading a report of a gentleman fighting for the Ukrainian forces who lost an arm earlier in the conflict and is now fighting again with a robot arm.
If today is the first day of Lent, okay, that means that Lent happens this same time every year, right? So, isn't that shitty that every 4 years somebody has got to fast for an additional day?
I think in the Olympics they had to stop or make a guide for not allowing amputees to race in running races because the you can literally replace your lower legs with prosthetics that will make you run faster than if you use your real legs.
It's like a springboard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those ones are, yeah.
So they were worried that people would actually start amputating. Yes.
It was punching yourself, not other people. Yeah, that's true. We're officially 500 years from the Covenant War. That's ominous and terrible.
And terrifying.
Honestly, I'd go into
And
space
Kevin,
right now.
thank you for all for your donations. Those are extremely appreciated.
It's just the me
I got one at snipe already.
Oh, going up top. No.
They're all at BR plat.
No, they got sniper. I just got sniper trying to support Krampus.
I got two on me. They're pushing sword spawn.
I see it.
I got the sniper.
I see done.
One more. With sword. God, get him!
What the fuck? It's you fucking metabolic.
Oh no, I have some sword.
One there, one there, one there. Oh, scheisse.
Fuck. God, the heat wave sucks dick.
The heat wave is awesome if you know how to use it. Or sorry, what is that my followers say? Skill issue. Oh shit, there's two in the basement at heat wave spawn.
Okay.
I'll take the heat wave.
Gas tank.
Guy over there. Grenade support. Oh, I got a kill finally. Jesus Christ.
I'm going for the heat wave again.
You just hate it when you pick the weapons and the hot magazine.
Sword on small sniper tower. Sword.
Got rid of both, heat wave spawn.
I'm gonna disappear off the book, guys. I'll see you.
Alright. Later.
See ya. Thanks for stopping by, Sashi. It's good to see ya.
It's good to see you again. Bye, man.
I'm down, I'm down. Heat wave on max.
Oh, no, go away. Fuck. I'll take the kill.
Oh, there is... sword on snipe tower. He's weak. He should be dead, but he's not.
I just watched someone fall to death.
I got the sword guy. He's dead. There's a
Sword guy's
and
dead,
the-
Roger.
Dude, teabagging, little bastard.
Mine? Oh, sniper and sword on my ex. You gotta get it. Don't let him have it. I'm on the way back.
I'm dead.
Fuck, they're gonna get it. Son of a bitch. It's not good.
Oh, go fuck yourself, corn.
Sword is down. Sniper is still there. Two still there. I am playing like
Oh,
a
you
garbage bag today. This is 100% garbage can't.
Way.
God, they're so sweaty.
Give me that. I'm down. Sword in the basement.
Fuck out of here. Sniper, that mark. Oh, go fuck yourself, sir.
Sniper's weak.
How did you see me there, you fucking shitbag?
Over there. Oh, fucking cunts.
Wow, no way.
Yeah, somebody is... One of these guys is weird.
Die, you stupid bitch. Have some of that. Oh, how did I die? Oh, they're on BR with a sniper.
Push there. Oh, of course there's a guy right next to me. Thank you. Two more.
One on my axe.
Yeah, I see him. He's got sword.
Oh, didn't do it.
He's there. We got sword with you. Nearby. Above you guys.
Sword is weak on top. There he goes.
Dead.
Down. 9 to lose.
They're pushing for sword. Two of them.
Bitch. I took your skull. Put 2 holes in it.
Skulls for the skull throne.
Blood for the blood god.
Yeah.
Skulls for the skull throne.
Looks like they're pushing from over there, I'm thinking. Oh, hello.
Just stay over here and let them come to us.
What we can do.
Tom.
11 down.
Oh, fuck you.
Still 11 down, 4 to lose. Oh, coiled from Snipe Tower. Sword of my axe. 2 to lose.
Ugh.
Sniper is up. They're pushing on it now. They got it. That was terrible. Makes me not happy. Wow. That was a bummer.
Hello.
Howdy, howdy.
Someone.
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, nothing much.
Enjoying the awesome today?
Yes, of course.
Nice. Sweet. Well, days gone by so fast. We only had about a half an hour left. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go reboot my coffee right now while we collect, let's see, how many do we got in the party? We got a full stack, but if you join on me, we'll switch to a bigger mode. I'll go reboot my coffee and be right back.
Or I'm gonna just take off because I got things to do before I have to like go help bring my friend's father into the house at like 5:30.
Well, that's fair. Go do that then, Grim. It's nice to see you, buddy. I'm glad you're not dead. Come and be awesome with us
Yeah, I'm
again.
still alive. Yep.
Alright, guys, watch the chair. Have a good day, Grim. I'll see you later, buddy. Check in with us,
Yep.
okay?
I will try to do that. Tools.
Alrighty. Well, the good news is that we had a little more coffee left. The bad news is that we're out of coffee. Just about the right time.
So, I'm gonna guess that it's a trip to Starbucks for you.
No, not today. I'm gonna
go. I'm taking Jack after the awesome today. Oh, hey, I'm over here. Hey, over here. Yeah, over here. Hi, buddy. Hi. Anyway, we're gonna go to after we get back. We're gonna go to the aviation. There's a little aviation museum. I just cracked my second Red Bull and got a minute. Second shift manager for a moment, which was cathartic. Got a minute to bitch about parents. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm glad that it was cathartic. That makes me the big happy that you enjoyed that. Strato, how you doing, buddy? How's your day going?
Oh, it's doing well.
Nice. Did you catch the book reading earlier, or did you just find us when you found us?
Oh, I found you guys just about, 40 minutes ago?
Oh, okay. I can't remember if you were following the book reading at all. I know some people aren't all about it, but a lot of people enjoy it, so.
Oh, yeah, I heard about it. I do like the stories that, every so often the new novels come out with.
Yeah. Oh man, today was a great day. We saw some old people in the stream, like Grim and Sashi. We haven't seen them in a long time. That was nice. Grim used to play with us every day. That was, God, an eternity ago, it feels like. And Sashi has been here since the beginning of the community as well. So it's nice to see some of our old friends returning today. It has taken a bit. How's your Xbox, Kevin? Seemed to be okay after that first. What was that? Was that a crash you had? What exactly happened? Just crashed. And that was only like your first game of the day, wasn't it? Like we hadn't played very many games. Third or fourth, okay. I'm just trying to keep an eye on that memory leak because I think it's part of a memory leak issue. And the big stretch. Oh, I deserve it. So what are you guys up to the rest of the day?
Probably gonna play Master Chief Collection.
Master Chief, nice.
Sleep.
Because it's almost 10 in the evening for me.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's It's almost time to sleep. I'm really liking the writing style of the author of Halo Glasslands. That is Karen Travis is the author. I don't know what else she writes. It says, let me see if I can find an about the author in here somewhere. I think I saw it at the back. It says she's a #1 best-selling New York Times best-selling novelist, screenwriter, and comic author. She's been critically acclaimed for the Wes Har series. That's Whiskey Echo Sierra Sierra apostrophe Hotel Alpha Romeo Wes Har series, as well as a regular hitting bestseller list with Star Wars content, Gears of War, and of course her Halo work now, according to this book. She was the lead writer in Gears of War 3 and a defense correspondent on television and newspapers She currently lives, as of the printing of this book, in Wiltshire, England. Karen Travis. There you go. Again, that place where the hobbits live, the Shire.
With Frodo Baggins.
It's Delta.
That's right, Delta. We play a fair amount of it. We have the Halo Collector with us, the Great Halo Collector, and that is his two here. Traded with one. Kevin's got the Overshield. I've got Dynamos.
One down.
Next play is Sniper. There's one here on me. I don't know how. Oh, two here on me now. One on green tent. One at green tent.
Down. One behind you. You got him. Nice.
I'm in street. I'm at hog. I still got one at green tent.
East Street.
Got one here at garage. I got two at green tent. Two at green tent now.
Oh fuck yourself, man.
45 to overshield. Oh, I just coiled myself. That's bullshit.
Sniper.
Guy's down.
There's a sniper that way.
Sniper Roger.
Above.
I'm going up.
From where did you come from? You weren't paid. Fucking bastard.
I don't think so, dickbag. I got the sniper now. Right here. Sniper's on my X. Sniper's on my X. Yeah, you can take it if you want it. I'm at overshield now. We're 20 seconds to OV. 20 seconds to OV.
On my X is where the sniper is.
There's two coming from this way. Oh, I got stuck from the right side. Right side. Back alley. Pushing OV. I'm up, but I'm in street. Somebody take the overshield and burn it, please.
I think they have it. I'm not sure.
You're killing me.
I picked it up. They have it now.
Smalls.
Yeah,
Why
they
am
got
I
it.
killing you? Why am I killing you, Nikki?
Overshield right here.
Hey, Adam, there you are. 1,000 followers, man. Yeah, heck yeah, on Twitch. I can't believe we made it. And
Found the overshield.
What the fuck was that?
more book reading. That was player collision. Overshield Roger. I'm going to sniper because
He's
I'm
dead.
in street.
Well, the overshield's dead.
They're here. Two here. I'm down there at sniper. How am I killing you, Nikki?
Dynamo.
Oh, she's gone. She went to the meeting.
Wait.
Sniper at street, one at stairwell. They're pushing this way now.
Sniper right there.
Sniper's dead.
One over there.
I bet he fell dumb. That guy's dead too. Double kill.
He's going around.
I got two going back alley. I'm gonna push into you now, Kevin. Pushing to you now. One here. That was weird. I just got a lag spike.
Go fuck yourself.
There's one on overshield now. 21
Back
OV.
alley.
I'm in streets. Oh, that guy died.
Going for the overshield.
Feels bad, man.
Got it.
Nice job.
Sniper. Right, that's not a sniper. One down.
There's one over here.
Over here.
How do you kill me with one punch?
Here with you,
fucking
Kevin.
bastard?
Oh man, we got pinched.
Pinch, Roger.
2 of them right there on my X.
1 dead. Oof, I'm dead. 1 on me. Back smacked me. Tasty.
Go fuck yourself, brag. Go back to fucking.
One inch street, 1 inch street, 1 inch street. Where'd you die at, Krampus? That's more helpful than your insult, buddy. 2 here, 2 here in the street.
I will tell you.
Yep, okay, go ahead.
But now I will not.
I'm on you, Strat.
there.
1 here in the street, 1 here in the street. There's still 1 in green
Down.
tent. 2 here now, 2 here now. 2, 2, 2, 2, weak in stairwell. Oh, you died in front of me, thank you. I love it. Thank you, Krampus. Malicious compliance. Right here at green tent. We're also getting chipped from garage. I'm down.
Got him.
Krampus, you're oh no, you're not. You're with me. Okay, we're at the bottom together.
I'm not with you. I'm with Strat.
I'm in on the scoreboard, buddy. We're getting carried by Strat and Kevin. Green tent, 2 dead.
I
1
am
here at
not
me, 1 here.
carrying you. What?
1 here at me.
1 with the fusion coil, 2.
Dead. 1 on my X, 1 on my X. Oh, you're not carrying? I thought you were carrying.
I'm not carrying.
Is it Kevin? Is Kevin carrying then? Are you carrying right now, Kevin?
No, not really.
God damn it, he got the overshield. Damn it. How's your week been? The week has been okay. We experienced a power outage that kept us from streaming on Tuesday, and then we experienced additional issues with the stream on Wednesday because of the power outage that we experienced, and then today's the first day that we've gotten ourselves like completely. There's 1 more here. Today's the first day that we've experienced the awesome, almost unimpeded of issues this week. So it's nice to be able to get back to it. And of course, we got to read, which I know is like one of your favorite things. So that's really cool. It makes me the big happy. Thanks for stopping by. We were actually asking about you this morning. And yeah, 1,038. We're on our way to 1,200. It's a big damn deal. We worked really hard for this. You guys all help, and I can't be awesome without you. 100%. Do I still have challenges? No, I did somehow finish all of the challenges for the week. I don't know how or when, but whatever. Updates for next week. Next week is the Emerald City Comic-Con. You will not see me stream on Friday next week, so you will only have me on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You'll have me on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, because we don't do Mondays either. And then I'll be at the convention throughout the weekend, so you can check on my TikTok content if you want to find any information about that. Just putting that out early. And also, don't forget that we have a tournament, a 1v1 tournament in the Spartan Space that we're hosting for Full Forge Cosplay, and you can join that by joining the Discord, assigning yourself the PvP role, reacting with the legendary icon to the tournament announcement, and then reaching out to Foam Forge in the tournament chat, telling him you'd like to be part of that 1v1 tournament. It takes place on, I want to say it's the 20... Let me look. I don't want to put out bad information. 23rd. March 23rd is the tournament. There's a $50 cash prize and $100 in Installation 00 merchandise from his shop on the line for the winner. You can coordinate with Installation 00 to get your prizes. Cool stuff. Most of that day, I will be hanging out with the community in the Discord while the stream is going on. So you'll be able to hang out with us. If you haven't had that opportunity in the past, you'll be able to do that. So it's a win for everybody, I think. Boy, the game searching today has been less than stellar, huh?
It's been quite fast.
You think so? I don't know. I feel like we've been sitting in the lobby more than usual, but I could be wrong. I'm glad that you're honored to be part of the community. I'm honored to have you. Having you makes my job easier, you know? You keep me honest on the videos so that I put the right stuff out for the reading. You keep the, you know, you've been keeping the storybooks, the playlists in order so people can get to them and be happy. Like, that's a huge damn deal for me. That makes a big difference. Goddamn, that's really picking up that air conditioner today, isn't it, Kevin? That's not usual for this to pick that up, huh?
Yeah, I have the stream turned down, but yeah, earlier it was picking it up.
Earlier it was picking it up real good, huh? Yeah, it's showing that it's showing that it's hearing it now a little bit even. So I'm hoping that I'll have to do some more tuning and see if I can get that fixed. Might have been something I changed.
Oh no, somebody left.
Kevin, did you drop again?
Lost connection.
Lost connection. Well, see if you can get back in here. I've got snipes.
They're on top. We got rockets.
He wasted 2. Rockets are on the ground.
I killed the invisible.
I don't have. Oh, hey, guess what I was gifted? The rockets. Oh fuck! I'm getting chipped. I'm dead. Rockets and snipe on my axe right in front of you, Krampus.
I'm dead anyway.
Really?
Oh, they got rockets and sniper then. I'm dead.
On my X, 3 on my X.
Said I have something this morning and I'm leaving a great place to speak to you today. Have a great day. All right, good. Have a great day. Thanks for stopping by and keeping us awesome.
Oh.
This is my fault. This match, I'm a little out of my game. Can you get back? Can you get back in here, Kevin? Also, we're at.
It says loading map.
Loading match. Okay.
Right side. Yep.
One on me. Yep. I wonder if it'll reconnect you. The guy that replaced you already quit, so.
Loading map at 0%.
Youch.
Unable to join.
Unable to join.
Where did you come from with that fucking dildo launcher?
One at sniper?
Oh fuck.
There's 2 on arch. 2 on arch top. One with rockets and one with something. I don't know what the second guy's got. I'm pushing for overshield.
That's 2 still on that arch.
Oh, shotgun at overshield got me. I wasn't paying attention.
Oh,
Any
fuck,
other games you
how
played
do
it?
you not die to that?
And
Okay.
other games you played.
They got the overshield.
Overshield on me, still full. Still full.
It's almost 2 o'clock, so I'm just gonna call it quit.
Alright, buddy. Sorry about that, Kevin. We'll be back later this evening again playing. I don't know if Mike is streaming. He's got a convention he's preparing for, so you know, we'll definitely be playing. I just don't know what else we'll be doing. He should have probably 6 by now. One in the basement, invisible. 2 at red base, 1 invisible.
Got the one in the basement of blue.
Oh fuck, this is Kyle. You invisible piece of shit.
We're combined. There's one going up to the arch.
Fuck.
Two in the basement of red.
Basement red eye.
Running around. Sniper. And he's got a needler.
Where is he? He's on the roof.
There.
Red roof.
There's two up there.
I do not have eyes. On the arch.
Shit. Give me this.
Oh fuck yourself, Kyle. I swear to God, I hate this map so much.
Traded with rocket launcher on my X.
Just got that one. There we go.
There's one on me on the in the creek.
A sniper.
1 second to invis. One in there, two in there, one in creek, one in invis, one in red cave.
50 invis.
Fuck you, Crooks. You bring
Invis in cave, he's weak in creek, he's falling back there, he's dead.
You bring a shame to the Emperor with using the name Crooks.
It's probably his last name. One red front door, one.
Watch out. Oh, behind you, behind you. Oh, it's cold.
One pushing the ramp to go up to the rockets now.
One to your right. In your red
I
base.
swear to God, I hate this Crooks guy so much.
Yeah, it was. Going for the overshield. Somebody go get the, Oh shit, rockets in creek right next to you. Right next to you, right side by rocks. Just died right
Fuck
there.
yourself with that fucking asshole. I honestly do not have fun with this man.
They're watching our front door at blue base.
Oh shit, fuck you, Kyle.
And on that bombshell. Jesus.
Go and kiss Cartman's fat ass.
The ever popular Krampus in the house. Oh Lord. All right, so here's how it goes, guys. That's the end of the awesome for today. Thank you so much for being part of it. We're gonna go raid somebody, I think, is what we're gonna do. We've got 26 viewers, so I hate to waste the day. So we're gonna find somebody to raid who's a Halo player, and that is gonna be awesome. Just give me a second. Yeah, well, if I, it's something that Kevin has been really cool about and helping us with, and so try to give back to people who have given to us or other creators. So it's kind of one of those things. Anyway, check it out. The Awesome will be back tomorrow at 10 Pacific for more Halo. We're just going to play games and hang out here, do all the things that we're already doing. And then, you know, it's going to be cool. It's going to be awesome. Can't do it without you guys. So thanks for stopping by and being part of the day-to-day. Once again, I'm Spartan John. We do this Tuesdays through most Fridays, and we really do have a blast. It's awesome because of you. Have a good Friday. Check out this lady we're going to go stream, or we're going to go raid. Her name is Gun Goddess. She's, her community is the community that created the Book Daddy persona. They're the ones who came along and gave me that nickname. So we're going to get back to her. I hope you guys enjoy her. I'm awesome. You're awesome. Be awesome. Stay awesome always. And we'll see you here tomorrow at 10 Pacific, where it's always awesome because of you. Join the Discord. And thank you again. We're going to go raid Gun Goddess now. I hope you guys have an awesome day.